Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto Dragon Summoner fanfiction Chunin exams part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Land of Fire, Forest. This was his last hope, his last chance to become a shinobi of Konoha no Sato. He needed to do this, to learn a jutsu from this damned scroll he had been assigned to take by his academy teacher, Mizuki. He had failed the Genin graduation exam 3 times, each time because of one jutsu that he just couldn't get right no matter what he tried. His name was Uzumaki Naruto, and he was the Jinchuriki of the most powerful of the Biju, the Kyuubi no Yoko. Okay, let's see. The first jutsu is Tajukage Bunshin on jutsu and then a summoning contract. Hand seals are it's asking for my signature in blood. Okay, Naruto though with a shrug and bit his thumb. He quickly signed the contract inside and smiled. Got it now for the Tajukage Bunshin on jutsu. 3 hours later, Iruka jumped down into the clearing as Naruto sat panting on the ground, clearly out of breath. About time, nosebleed. I found you, Naruto spoke with a grin. No, you fool! I found you! Iruka shouted anger. Hey, I guess you have got me. Too bad you were so fast. I've only memorized 2 jutsu, Naruto said as he scratched the back of his neck. You look exhausted. What the hell have you been doing? Iruka asked, confused at seeing his state. Wait until I show you. I never dreamed some of the jutsu in this thing are amazing, Naruto said cheerfully. If I show you I've mastered these jutsu, then you'll let me pass, right? Who told you that? Iruka asked, confused. Mizuki-sensei said if I learn a jutsu from the scroll then you'll let me graduate, Naruto replied with a smile. Mizuki? Iruka's eyes widened in surprise and he turned quickly. He pushed the blonde out of the way before being bombarded by a volley of shuriken. I'm impressed that you figured out where to go, Mizuki commented as he dropped down in complete combat gear. Now I understand, Iruka grunted out as he held his now bleeding side. The scroll, Naruto, give it to me, Mizuki demanded. What is this? Naruto asked in surprise and a little fear. Don't let him have it, Naruto. Protect that scroll with your life. Iruka shouted to him as he kept his eyes set on the traitorous Chunin. It's more dangerous than you can imagine. It holds the record of all ninjutsu and kenjutsu known by Konoha. Mizuki used you because he wants it for himself. Naruto, even if you've read it, it will still be meaningless. I can show you what it means, Mizuki offered with a smirk. Shut up. Iruka shouted with rising fear. There is no way Mizuki would. Naruto, do you know what really happened 12 years ago, when the Kyuubi no Yoko was defeated, don't you? Mizuki asked with a widening smirk. Mizuki, stop. Don't. Iruka shouted, now thoroughly afraid of what was coming. Since the incident, the people of our village have been bound by the highest decree, Mizuki continued unaffected. What are you talking about? Naruto asked as he felt his throat going dry. You wouldn't remember because the decree was that everyone would know except you. Mizuki was now openly grinning from ear to ear. Why not me? Naruto stammered out. Because you are the Kyuubi no Yoko, Mizuki shouted with glee. Naruto stood still, not knowing what to do. What? You are the Kyuubi, the monster which assaulted and rampaged through Konoha 12 years ago until finally you were defeated and bound to your current form by our beloved Yondaime Hokage. Mizuki continued. Stop it! Iruka shouted to the traitor. Since then, you've been made a fool of by everyone in the village. Didn't you ever think it was strange? To be despised everywhere you went? You killed Iruka's parents too. If you were honest, even Noble Iruka would admit he hates you too. Mizuki yelled as he spun his Funa shuriken in hand. No one will ever accept you. That scroll you now carry was the key to your ceiling. Demon! He threw it towards the blonde. Iruka jumped in the way and the shuriken pierced his back. Foolish Iruka. Why? Naruto asked as he looked up at his former teacher's face. Forgive me, Iruka said tearfully. If I'd been a better teacher, a better person, then maybe it wouldn't have come to this. Naruto dashed away into the trees a moment later. Naruto! He called after the boy. It's over, Iruka. Goodbye, old friend, Mizuki said as he slashed down with a kunai. And blood started to pour onto the unforgiving ground. Got to get away, must get away, Naruto thought as he cast a glance behind him. Naruto! Came the shout and he saw Iruka jumping beside him. Give me the scroll. It's what Mizuki is after. Protect that scroll with your life. You are the Kyuubi no Yoko. Naruto turned quickly and slammed his full weight into Iruka, forcing them both to drop to the ground. Iruka rasped out as he tried to get to his feet. What's wrong, Naruto? He asked before his illusion dropped, signifying it was Mizuki instead. How did you know I wasn't Iruka? He demanded. I didn't, Naruto chuckled and leaned against a tree. But Iruka-sensei told me to guard this scroll, and that is exactly what I intend to do. So noble, why? Don't you want the power? You and I are the same, Naruto. We both want something. Give me the scroll and I will give you whatever you desire, Mizuki said as he held out his hand. Not a chance, Naruto shot back. I'm nothing like you, Mizuki team. The traitor looked at him in disgust, then say goodbye, Demon Fox. He shot forwards with Fuma Shuriken spinning in hand. Die. Naruto's eyes widened before formed several hand seals instinctively. Kuchios no Jutsu. A moment later a large poof of smoke signified the appearance of a summoning. What? Mizuki thought in surprise, and he stopped a few feet away. Holy, that's a large dragon several meters long appeared from the smoke and turned its gaze on him. There is no way that demon could summon a dragon, the traitor thought in slight fear. This boy, it's been a while since I was last summoned. I shall test his worthiness later, but for now I am hungry, and I certainly smell a desirable meal. Prepare to die, mortal, the dragon's menacing voice spoke before his head shot forward. No! Mizuki thought before he was devoured by the large beast in front of him. The dragon turned towards the blond boy and noticed he was now unconscious. Probably exhausted himself. I must take him away from here and back to the mountains. Perhaps that human village nearby will prepare him for the trials ahead, it thought as it picked the boy up and took off into the night sky with the scroll. In his office, the Sandaime Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, watched sadly as the boy he had come to view as a grandson was taken away by a dragon. Part of him wanted to send a team after them, but was clear that they were now too far gone to be retrieved, and he knew that Naruto wouldn't be returning to Konoha as one of its citizens, not when he would experience the outside world away from Konoha. There was the fact that he now knew he was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, and with the way he was told, it wouldn't be pretty if he were to turn his angered gaze on Konoha. Without knowledge of the dragon's destination, Konoha couldn't send anyone to look for the boy nor the scroll, which held one of the only things that could open the seal on his stomach. The scroll contained a key to Naruto's seal. Naruto Hiruzen thought worriedly. Land of Lightning, Kyuubi no Sato / Reikage Tower. Here is today's paperwork, Reikage-sama, spoke an attractive female jonin as she carried a large stack of papers into the office. Reikage-sama? She asked hesitantly. Zzz, and so the most powerful shinobi in Kyuubi, the Reikage killer, he snored as he slept at his desk with the morning sun glaring through the window. Reikage-sama, you need to do today's paperwork, she shouted in his ear. Who? What? Where? Why? He asked frantically as he awakened. Today's paperwork, Reikage-sama, the aide said with a smile. It was always interesting working for this man. He was childish at times and seemed to be level-headed at others. He was a hard case sometimes, but only when it concerned his younger brother, and or the previous Reikage's granddaughter. After the Sandaime Reikage passed away with young Yujito's parents, he had basically become the girl's adoptive father, and he loved her as the daughter he never had. Speaking of which, he still needed to sort out her team for when she graduated later today. At this rate, her team would be missing 2 members. He already had a sensei picked out, his own brother, since he was the Hachibi Jinchuriki. If worse came to worse, then he would have Kurabi take her as his apprentice. Reikage-sama? His aide asked hesitantly. What is it? He said as he turned serious at her sudden withdrawn look. He turned to where she was pointing and his eyes widened slightly. That's a dragon. What the fuck is a dragon doing outside my window? Indeed it was. The massive creature came to a stop just outside of the window and set a small blonde child down on the balcony with a scroll attached to his back. It took one look at the Reikage and then disappeared in a poof of smoke, signifying it was a summoned creature. What just happened, Reikage-sama? The aide asked, unsure. He looked over the boy and the scroll on his back. That scroll is definitely the forbidden scroll of sealing created by the Shodai Hokage, but that would mean he's from Konoha, so why did that dragon bring him here? Dragons rarely leave Cloud Peak, and even then it's only for food. What is so special about you? Reikage-sama? Suddenly 3 Kyumonins appeared within the room. It is all right, he reassured them and then turned to them. Samui, Kari, Omo, take this boy to the hospital immediately and contact me the moment he wakes up. Also check if there is anything strange about him. Yes, Reikage-sama, Samui acknowledged, even if she didn't understand the reasoning behind the orders. It was going to be a long day. Land of Lightning, Kyuubi no Sato / Hospital. Naruto groaned as he awoke to the sight of the sun setting out the closed window, and its rays covered the sky in a red hue. He sat up with another groan and looked around, immediately recognizing that he was in a hospital, though it didn't appear to be Konoha's hospital. It was mostly yellow instead of the usual white, and was littered with monitoring equipment. Where the hell am I? Naruto asked in thought as he shakily got out of the bed. He looked down to see he was wearing a hospital gown. How did I get here? He walked over to the window and looked out. Whoa. From where he looked he could see a massive city-like village stretched out over several mountains clustered together. I'm not in Konoha anymore. Suddenly the door opened and a young woman stepped inside dressed in a familiar yet completely alien nurse's outfit. She stopped, looked at him, and then blinked before rushing back out of the room. This can't be good, I need to get out of here, Naruto thought and formed a hand seal. Henge, immediately he was wearing cloths again even though he knew they were an illusion. He formed another hand seal and summoned as much chakra as he could muster, Tajikage Bunshin no Jutsu. Instantly 20 appeared inside the room and started storming out to provide his distraction. I have to get out of here now. He jumped out of the window with his clones and fell. What the hell? Naruto exclaimed as he fell through the large gap between the village's platforms that kept them all atop the mountains. I don't have the chakra left to make a ladder out of clones, I'm gonna die. And then suddenly everything went dark. Naruto's mindscape, Jinchuriki seal. Drip. 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 What the hell happened? Naruto shook his head as he looked around his new surroundings. Huh, it looked like a sewer. This feeling, Naruto slowly started walking and made his way through the corridor and entered a large chamber with what looked like a large medical gate on the other side of the room. Come here, boy. A pair of crimson-slitted eyes snapped open as the blonde grew closer. Suddenly the beast sent out 4 large claws in hopes of ripping him apart through the bars. You annoying little human, rip this seal off now or I shall feast on your bones. The voice growled out in frustration. Why you can't be the Kyuubi no Yoko, Naruto stammered as he took a step back. Do not waste my time. Do as I command. The giant fox roared in fury. Everyone sees you, as me, a demon. Give up, I will save you from your pain, your loneliness, and your hatred. Suddenly Naruto's jumpsuit opened and the seal on his stomach became visible. Yes, you're doing fine. The seal distorted a moment later and a black liquid started to pour out and onto the floor. Now come here and rip this seal off. The fox ordered and Naruto staggered towards the seal on the cage. Land of Lightning, Kyuubi no Sato/Rainbow Mountain. Reikage-sama! Omu shouted as he and the forces arrived on the scene. I see it, he confirmed as he looked down at the massive demon fox with 8 tails that clung to the mountainside below. So that is what's made the boy special enough to receive the attention of the dragons, he thought with slight worry. Brother, why do you never come and see me? The Rockin' Killer Bee asked his brother in a bad rap. Do you not see the giant demon fox in front of us? He asked his brother, as he gestured towards the monstrous creature. So that's the Kyuubi to transform like that, he must have an interesting Jinchuriki, Kirabi commented in rap. Go Hachibi and hold him down while I seal him up, the Reikage ordered and the two jumped down. Wait, a gruff voice stopped them and they turned swiftly. What they found was a dragon, we will take care of him. I didn't even sense them, he realized before fixed dragons flew out from seemingly nowhere and descended towards the monstrous fox. Stay out of the way while we deal with this. It will be over soon, said the lead dragon before they flew down towards the tailed beast below. Miyako-kun, you know what to do. Another nodded and flew directly above the 8-tailed demon fox. Fuin Jutsu, Rain of Fuin! Miyako roared as she struck down a large spear of white lightning through the fox's midsection. The lightning then lanced out and pinned the beast's tails to the ground, causing it to roar in anger. It is done. Now we shall see if he remains a fox or ascends into a knight, spoke the dragon leader. Yes, Hotori-sama, Miyako bowed her head towards the lead dragon. Naruto's mindscape, Jinchuriki seal. Almost there, the Kyuubi said with glee as Naruto reached out to grab the seal paper on its cage. Only for someone to grab his wrist. Huh? Naruto asked as he snapped back to his senses. He turned to the one who had stopped him, and his eyes widened at the sight that greeted him. He began before the figure picked him up and carried him away from the cage. You! The Kyuubi roared in anger at the intruder. What are you doing here? Wayandame Hokage-sama? Naruto stuttered out in surprise. I infused some of my chakra into the seal to act as a failsafe just in case the Kyuubi tried to break free and release 8 of its tails. I honestly hoped I never had to see your ugly face again, Kyuubi, but I wanted to see how far my son had grown, so I guess it all evens out in the end. Oh well, spoke Namikaze Minato. Yandame Hokage! Come here! I'll rip you to shreds! The Kyuubi roared again. Not the best invitation, so no thanks, Minato said back with a frown. Right, Naruto? He asked the younger blonde. Naruto, my name, Naruto said confused. How did you know? How? I'm the one who named you, Minato responded amused. You're my son, after all. Your son? Naruto paused, unable to comprehend what was going on. You heard me, you're my son, Naruto, Minato confirmed as tears started to fall from Naruto's eyes. D-Dad? The boy asked hesitantly. Yandame! The Kyuubi roared in anger at being ignored. That thing is too annoying at times, let's go somewhere quiet, Minato said before he clicked his fingers and the two were transported into a large white void. Naruto wiped away the tears in his eyes as Minato looked on sadly. Sandaime-sama didn't tell you much of anything, did he? I guess he wanted to suppress as much information about the Kyuubi as possible. If people knew you were my son, then you'd have been in danger. A lot of good that did me, Naruto rasped out. I'm sorry, Naruto, but it was the only way I could think of, Minato apologized only to receive a punch from the younger blonde. Why would you ever put the Kyuubi inside your own son? How could you put me through that? I don't know if I'm happy or if I'm mad right now. You're completely insane, Naruto cried out in anger and sadness. Minato sighed after it was clear his son had calmed down. I know, Naruto, how old are you? 12, Naruto answered as he wiped his eyes again. 12 already, huh? Damn, I don't know what to say, Minato admitted with a saddened sigh. It's just give me a second, Naruto said and took a deep breath. Alright, I'm the Yandame Hokage's kid, I can deal with that, he chuckled in what seemed like relief. Minato just smiled before he spoke again. There is something you should know. There was another reason why I sealed half of Kyuubi's chakra in you. It wasn't just because I thought you could control its power, it was because there was someone manipulating the Kyuubi 12 years ago, when it attacked Konoha. Manipulated? Are you saying the Kyuubi was being controlled when it attacked Konoha? Naruto asked in surprise. Minato nodded grimly. I fought him and I didn't even scratch him. It was like I was fighting a ghost. He's an extremely dangerous shinobi. Who is he? Naruto asked. I don't know, I didn't even see his face, he was wearing a mask, Minato answered. I believe he will attack Konoha again, and I believe he will come after you to get the Kyuubi back. You can't let him get it. Dad, Konoha, Naruto began, but Minato held up his hand to stop him. I already know, I must admit I don't blame you for leaving, Minato interrupted. But I didn't, Naruto started again. To them, the moment you were taken by the dragons, you were considered to no longer be a Konoha citizen, and after what I saw from the seal, I wouldn't blame you for staying away from them, Minato finished. Do you think I should stay here? Naruto asked hesitantly. That is up you, Naruto. It's your decision and no one else's. I'm proud of you no matter what choice you make, Minato said with a smile. Dad, thanks, Naruto smiled back. Now I must be going, I'm almost out of chakra. A word of advice, if you're staying in Kumo then you won't meet Jiraiya anytime soon, and he is the only one I gave a key to. The forbidden scroll of sealing was used by me to seal the Kyuubi, Minato began as he brought his hand up to the seal on Naruto's stomach. It twisted and returned to normal a moment later. I just used my key to restore the seal to normal, but this is only a one-time thing. Inside the forbidden scroll of sealing is the third and final key to your seal. It's at the very end of the scroll, and you really can't miss it when you see it. It is the first step to controlling the Kyuubi, and I have faith in you to find a way to do it. Forbidden scroll of sealing, I got it, Naruto nodded in understanding. You're not strong enough to fight the Kyuubi, so don't use it unless you are absolutely confident that you can beat it, Minato told him. He put his hand on the younger blonde's head and smiled as he slowly disappeared. Parents always believe in their children, and I believe in you, Naruto. He was gone a moment later. Thanks, Dad, Naruto said and turned as the void shattered around him. Land of Lightning, Kumogakyu no Sato/Rainbow Mountain. It looks like he passed our test, Miyaka commented as she saw the fox contract and collapse in on itself. I was worried we might have to kill him for a minute there. That would have been unfortunate, Hattori added with a nod as the red chakra faded to reveal a completely unharmed Naruto. Boy, step forward, he spoke. Naruto did as instructed and looked over at him. You must be the dragon I summoned before. No, that was me, Miyaka spoke from the side. I am Miyaka no Ryu, it's a pleasure, she greeted. Uzumaki Naruto, Kyuubi Jinchuriki, Naruto said back. Don't take this the wrong way, but what are you all doing here? he asked as he looked over the 5 dragons. You summoned one of my people last night, the dragon leader responded clearly. We dragons haven't been summoned by anyone in over 300 years, and not only were you able to summon us, but you were also able to pass your test to become a Ryusenin, dragon sage. A what? Naruto asked confused. A Ryusenin. Miyako-kun, do it, ordered Hattori. Yes, Hotori-sama. Miyako bowed her head and her wings glowed. Beams of light shot out and covered Naruto's form from view. Ryupo, Ryu no Yoroi. When the light died down, Naruto was revealed to the world again. What is this? Naruto asked as he looked down. His entire body looked like it was covered in some kind of orange, black, and white armor. In his hand was a glowing red sword with a blue-white ball just below the hilt. Think Naruto's costume from the game, Naruto Shippuden, Rijinki. I may not have liked the game itself, but I loved to costume change, so mixed at it with the armor of a knight, and you have the current Naruto. Think of them as gifts. If you are going to be our summoner, then you will need strength unrivaled by anyone else. We only accept the best as our summoners. You will be the best, or you will die. Now let me hear you. Hattori set his gaze on the young blonde. I will become the best, surpassing everyone else and catch up to my father. That's my promise, Naruto stated clearly. Good, then we will be off until next time, boy. Hattori bowed his head in respect before he flew off into the sky, followed by the other dragons one by one. Call on me if you need some help, Naruto-kun, Miyako said before she too flew away. Naruto sighed as he sheathed the sword on scabbard he had strapped to his back. This has long day written all over it, he thought, and turned to the sight of several Kyuubi approaching. So you're Konoha's Kyuubi Jinchuriki, the leader spoke, a big guy dressed in what looked like kage robes. I am the Yandame Reikage of Kyumogakyu no Sato, he declared. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, Kyuubi Jinchuriki and current Ryusenin. It's nice to meet you, Naruto said, slightly nervous. He was expecting all the Kages to be old guys like the old man, not someone who looked like he could kill you with just a look. I'm not Konoha's Jinchuriki anymore, Reikage-sama. Best not to piss him off if you can. He raised an eyebrow at that. Really? Then would you be interested in joining Kyumo? Join Kyumo? Naruto blinked in confusion. Why? I failed the Genin graduation exam 3 times and I still haven't passed it. His eyes narrowed at that. If that were true, then you shouldn't have been able to summon one of those dragons. You clearly summoned the one that dropped you off at my office this morning. How could you not pass the graduation exam 3 times and yet summon a dragon? Ermier can't create clones, Naruto said, embarrassed. Clones? It was Kurabi that spoke up. They wouldn't happen to be normal clones, would they? Because if they were, then get down and shake your belly, cause we Jinchuriki got too much chakra to make such a useless wannabe. Huh? Naruto blinked with a sweat drop. What my brother means is Jinchuriki are physically incapable of creating regular clones because they have too much chakra to control. Even our own Jinchuriki can't create regular clones, so they use A-rank lightning clones instead, he explained. You have Jinchuriki here? Naruto asked in surprise. Kurabi here is the Hachibi Jinchuriki, he replied as he gestured to his younger brother. I see, then Konoha didn't want to tell me that, or they didn't want to know why I couldn't create regular clones, Naruto muttered as his fists clenched at his side. It seems that way, kid, the Reikage agreed with a nod. Is that offer still open? Naruto asked after a moment. Yes, he nodded in confirmation. Then yes, I will become a genin of Kyumo, Naruto agreed and bowed his head. He smiled at his luck. Good, then come with me so we can get you registered and then you will head to our academy to meet your team. Team? Naruto blinked in confusion. Genin team, the Reikage answered with a smirk. Unfortunately, we only have 1 genin out of the regular teams, and normally they're kept behind, but since you're here now, I finally have a 3rd team member. Land of Lightning, Kyumogakyu no Sato/Academy. This was unreal. Walking towards the academy reminded him so much of home, of Konoha, and yet it was so different too. When he was finished signing all the documents, and got his ninja license, he walked towards the academy led by a boy a year older than him called Sure. As they made their way through the village, the villagers went about their business in a similar manner to the villagers back in Konoha, with one very significant difference. They didn't glare at him, or even ignore him in the least, quite the contrary actually, they practically adored him. Some people said hello, some smiled, and some even waved a few times. He didn't understand why they were like this when he unleashed 8 of Kyuubi's tails in broad daylight just this morning. What made things even stranger was the fact that as they walked he noticed the girls his age, and a few years older, looking at him the same way that he saw girls look at Sasuke back in Konoha. Strange. As if reading his mind, Sure spoke up, Jinchuriki are treated differently here compared to other villages. Instead of fearing the demons they contain, we actually consider them to be the ultimate protectors of our village and its people. Kurabi-sama especially, considering how much he's sacrificed to ensure our continued peace. He's a hero among heroes here in Kyuubi, and to be a Jinchuriki is considered the highest honor. I see, Naruto said finally as they kept walking. Here we are, Shur declared as they reached their destination. The graduation class is on the second floor, room 217. Thanks, Naruto nodded and entered as Shur left. He quickly made it to the room and breathed, here we go. He knocked and entered after being called. Hi, I'm here for graduation. Ah, you must be the boy Samui-san talked about, the teacher spoke in understanding. Come in, I'm Derry and I will be your teacher for the next 10 minutes, he added the last part amused. I think I'll manage, Naruto joked. Please introduce yourself to the class, Derry gestured towards the assembled group. I am Uzumaki Naruto, nice to meet you all, the blonde said with a smile. He's cute, a girl commented. Oh please, he looks like a wimp, a boy scoffed. Nah, didn't you hear? This guy is the Jinchuriki guy from Rainbow Mountain this morning, another boy countered. Seriously? This guy is a Jinchuriki? What the hell makes him so special? The first boy demanded. How about the fact that he's not an ass like you, the girl said with a smirk. Alright, settle down everyone, Darui spoke and silence claimed the room as Naruto sat down at the chair he was motioned to. Right next to the one person in class who had different thoughts about the newcomer. This guy was able to stop himself from losing control and letting the Kyuubi out this morning. To be able to stand up to the most powerful of the Biju, he's not an ordinary Jinchuriki like I am. He's something else, thought Niyujuto. Alright class, I will now read out your teams, Darui spoke up again. First is Team C consisting of. This has very long day written all over it, Naruto thought with a sigh. Eventually his name was called. Since there are 2 students more than usual, Team B will be a 3-man squad consisting of Uzumaki Naruto and Niyujuto under Yatsuki Kurabi. Darui finished, causing the 2 to look up in confusion. 3 Jinchuriki on the same team? This wouldn't end well at all. Apparently they weren't the only ones who thought so. Darui-sensei, why do they get special treatment? One of the students demanded. Darui looked annoyed and spoke before Naruto lost his temper. Are you blind? There is no one else available to fit the slot for a 3rd teammate, and it's not unusual for 2 academy graduates to have their own team. When I first became a genin I was in a 3-man cell myself, and trust me, it's a lot harder without a 4th teammate watching your back. The class fell silent at that. Very, very long day was the only thought that passed through Naruto's head. Lightning Country, Kyuubi/Academy. Tap. 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 Tap tap. Tap tap. Tap tap tap. Would you stop that already? Yujuto shouted in annoyance. They had been waiting for 20 minutes since all of the other teams had been taken away by their respective sensei, leaving only them in the room. After 5 minutes of boredom, Naruto started to tap his pencil on the table, much to Yujuto's frustration, which he had continued to do until she had yelled at him to stop. Silence. Thank you, Yujuto muttered in relief. Tap 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 tap. That's it. Yujuto shouted and tackled him to the ground. Hey! What are you doing, you crazy cat girl? Naruto shouted back as the 2 rolled across the floor. They came to a stop in front of the teacher's desk with Yujuto pinning Naruto down by his arms. What is your problem? You're my problem! Yujuto yelled, annoyed. You come out of nowhere, graduate as a genin, and then you have the audacity to annoy me with your infernal tapping and ask me what's my problem? You are a complete and total moron. That's my problem, you idiot. Sorry? Naruto hesitantly asked. Yujuto got off him and huffed before turning away. Hey now. I just needed something to do. It's been a messed up couple of days and I'm still sorting through everything. Sorry if I offended you or anything, he laughed nervously. Why? Yujuto asked before turning around to face him. Why are you here? This was supposed to be so simple. I was supposed to graduate and be taken as Kurabi-sama's only apprentice and become strong enough to protect my home. Then you walk in and accomplish the same thing I've been doing for the last 4 years in only a day. How the hell do you think that makes me feel, huh? Naruto remained silent at that. Oh boy, they snapped their eyes to the door and saw a dark-skinned man who looked about 30 standing in the doorway. This is gonna take some work, fools ya fools, the man spoke in bad song. Who are you? Naruto blinked. I'm the man who floats like a butterfly and stings like a killer bee, 'cause I'm the eight-tailed beast, the man declared. Kurabi-sama, Yujito bowed her head in respect. We were just, she began. No need to tell, 'cause I heard it all like a ringing bell, Kurabi rapped. You're our sensei? Naruto asked, feeling slightly disappointed. Somehow I was expecting, well, a ninja, not someone who sings bad rap, he sighed and thought. Both of you come with me, yo, and we'll see where you stand on my test, yo, Kurabi spoke as he ushered the pair out of the room. Hey, no pulling! Naruto yelled as the man practically dragged the two out of the academy and towards one of the training grounds on the lower platforms of the village. Lightning Country, Kumo/Training Platform D. Let's start with you both introducing yourselves, fools, ya fools, Kurabi said as the two genin sat down against the metal bench. Yujito spoke first. Ni Yujito. I like my home and I dislike anyone who threatens it, as well as someone I know. She sent a glare at Naruto, who scoffed slight as she continued. I don't have many hobbies and my goal is to become the Kumo's greatest protector. After it was clear she was done, Naruto spoke up. The name's Uzumaki Naruto. I don't really like anything and I dislike how corrupt Konoha has become. My hobbies, pulling pranks and watering plants, and my dream, I don't really have one. Alright, I'm Yatsuki Kurabi. You will refer to me Hachibi-sama, Hachibi-sensei or Kurabi-sensei from now. Fools, ya fools, Kurabi said. I like Enka and my vacation time. I dislike anyone who has a problem with my rap and my brother's meddling. My hobbies are my singing and making new raps. My goal is to merge Enka's singing with my own rap style. Fools, ya fools. Man, and I thought I had problems, Naruto thought with a sweat drop. Now then, I will test you both here and see how you both fare. Fools, ya fools, Kurabi said and stood up. We're gonna spar to see if you're up to par, he added with a nod. Yujito shot up and threw out a punch only for Kurabi to evade and strike her in the chest. She exploded into lightning and paralyzed the Kumo champion, but he shrugged it off in moments as the real her appeared behind him. Raikyu! Yujito called out as she hurled a ball of lightning at the Kumo jonin. Not bad, little cat, Kurabi started before he disappeared in a burst of speed and reappeared behind her. But you're still as slow as a clumsily flung bat. He kicked her away, causing her to skid along the metal floor until she stopped. Damn it, Kurabi-sensei really is strong, Yujito thought grimly. Rai Bunshin no Jutsu was practically useless against him, she added in thought. Tajikage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto called out, and to their surprise 100 Naruto clones appeared around them and charged. This kid's got potential if he can create this many shadow clones with only academy-level chakra control. If he's ever able to fully control it, he will be almost unstoppable, Kurabi thought with a smirk as he struck down the assembled clone army with his bare hands. Raikyu! Yujito exclaimed as she threw another ball of lightning at him, hoping to catch him off guard while he was distracted. Kurabi saw it coming and quickly jumped away. He landed a few feet away and saw the two genin ready themselves for the next attack. We can't even touch him. Hey sensei? Naruto shouted with a smirk. Suddenly another Naruto appeared behind the Hachibi Jinchuriki and grabbed his shoulders, surprising him. Maybe you should watch your back more, the clone said. Take him out now with my clone, he shouted to his teammate who was already preparing her next attack. When did he dash? Kurabi blinked surprised as he tried to break himself free of the boy's grasp. Raikyu! Yujito threw a ball of lightning at their sensei and the clone holding him down. It struck, and smoke filled the air. You pass, Kurabi said as he appeared behind the two completely unharmed. Thank you, Kurabi-sensei, Yujito said as she bowed her head in respect. This guy, he's a true Jinchuriki, Naruto thought with a smile. This might not be so bad after all. Land of Lightning, Kumogakyu no Sato/Reikage Tower. Please, I'm begging you, don't make me do another one of these chores, Naruto practically shouted before they were offered yet another D-rank mission. He looked both amused and annoyed at the same time, and why would I give you higher ranking mission? Oiroke no Jutsu. There was an explosion of smoke before a naked blonde girl with clouds covering her appeared in the room to the surprise of everyone, besides Kurabi. He never stood a chance. He fell out of his chair with blood pouring out of his nose and a grin on his face. Kurabi didn't seem to be affected, and as for Yujito, well, she didn't look happy at all. A split second later, Yujito smacked the blonde girl over the head, and she transformed back into Naruto. What the hell was that, you idiot? Yujito angrily snarled at her fellow blonde as she held him by the collar. This went on for another few minutes before the Reikage regained consciousness and spoke in a serious tone. Very well, you will get your mission, however it is not an ordinary mission. The tone he used immediately stopped the two. What is it? Naruto blinked. There was recently a request forwarded to Konoha by a bridge builder from the Land of Wave. It has been listed as a C-rank mission, however I don't believe that. Our spies have identified that the shipping tycoon, Gato, is in the area and is working towards enslaving the entire country. The Konoha team being sent has the last Uchiha on it, and Konoha won't risk him when they finally find out about the information their client has been withholding from them. Your orders are to succeed where Konoha fails, the Reikage explained. Leave it to us, brother. We'll have it done at time for supper. Fools, ya fools, Kurabi said with a shrug. Go, he gave the order. Land of Fire, Eastern Border. Uchiha Sasuke, the last of his clan, had been having a rather painful day of listening to his number one fangirl constantly asking him out on dates. Haruno Sakura had been pathetic during their real genin test, and even their new teammate, Sai, seemed to have more skills than her. Sai was a quiet boy who, well, I don't really know how to describe the kind of guy he is. We are entering foreign territory. You should be quiet or ugly-san, yes, something like that. What did you just call me? I'm going to kill you! Sakura shouted in anger and lunged to attack the newcomer, only to be stopped by their sensei. Hatake Kakashi held her back by her collar while he continued to read his little orange book. Now, Sakura. What have I told you about teamwork? Sakura huffed and continued walking. Why did we have to have him on the team? He's almost as bad as Naruto Baka on his worst days. So can we expect any ninja on this mission? Sasuke asked, seemingly uncaring. It's only a C-rank mission and the Land of Waves doesn't have a shinobi village. You don't have to worry about foreign ninja for a while yet, Kakashi responded with a shrug. Just then a pair of figures appeared out of the puddle they had walked past and wrapped Kakashi in chains. What? What, the Sakura nearly screamed as the group turned around. One down, one of the assassins whispered as they pulled on the chains. And cut Kakashi down in a matter of seconds. Kakashi-sensei! Sakura screamed in fear at seeing their teacher killed with ease. Two down, the assassins whispered as they appeared behind Sai. Fortunately, he was ready for them and quickly turned, drawing his tanto and blocking the chain at its center. They quickly tried to counter, but Sasuke then moved and pinned the chain to the nearby tree, forcing the two assassins to break apart. One went after Sai while the other moved to attack Sakura and the client. A split second later, Kakashi appeared unharmed and decimated the two assassins. Kakashi-sensei? Sakura stuttered in surprise at seeing a seemingly dead man alive again. Very good, Sasuke, Sai, Sakura. Kakashi nodded in praise and turned to their client. Tazuna, our attackers are Chunin-level Nuke-nin from Kiri. Do you mind explaining why they came after you and not us? Tazuna stammered out a response. I mean. You lied about the mission level, Kakashi said simply. This is easily a B-rank mission and could increase to an A rank if things become any more complicated. Kakashi-sensei, we're not strong enough yet for this type of mission. Can we quit? Sakura asked, both hesitant and hopeful. This is getting complicated, Kakashi sighed in frustration. He turned to the team. What do you all want to do? This team is not yet ready to complete a mission of this caliber. We must return to Konoha, Sai spoke up. Sasuke didn't say anything, but his glare said it all. Both Hokage-sama and Danzo-sama will be very upset should we be killed because we were lied to. Kakashi looked at the crestfallen Tazuna before agreeing. Very well, we are returning home, now. I understand, Tazuna sighed in defeat. Then I will be continuing on home. If I am to die, then I won't run away from it. For what it's worth, I am sorry, Tazuna-san, Kakashi apologized. Don't be, you've done enough just by getting me this far. I can go the rest of the way, Tazuna bowed his head. Team 7 move out, Kakashi ordered, and the Konoha Nins jumped into the trees, heading for home. Damn, oh what the hell, it was a bad idea to start with, but I had to try. Tsunami Inari, I'm on my way home, Tazuna sighed again before he continued his walk. Yo, are you Tazuna? It looks like those Konoha wimps left you, fools, ya fools, a voice spoke up, surprising him. What? Tazuna stammered in surprise as he turned to the sight of three new ninja. Who are you? He asked, slightly fearful. We're your new guards from Kumo. We'll be guarding you from here on out, yo, the obvious leader answered in bad rap. You aren't working for Gato? Tazuna asked. No, we're not, the young girl replied. Thank the gods, Tazuna sighed in relief. Well, I don't have the money for this kind of mission, but just repay us later, old man, the orange/black-clad boy at his side spoke. What do I call you? I never got your names, Tazuna said nervously. I am the man who floats like a butterfly and stings like a killer bee. 'Cause I'm the eight-tailed beast, the leader practically saying. He's Karabi-sensei, the girl said with a sigh. I'm Miyujuto and this idiot here is Uzumaki Naruto. Don't call me an idiot, Naruto growled back. I hope these three will be enough, Tazuna thought worried. Land of Wave, Coast. It took them 2 days to reach the island while sneaking past the patrols and mercenaries that guarded it from unwanted inference. Team B hadn't been so bad, or at least the bridge builder thought so. They were mostly quiet on the journey with Karabi constantly writing in his pad, probably making up new raps, while the two genin seemed to be trying to ignore each other. They had gotten off the boat and were walking through the forest when Yujuto suddenly stopped and flung a kunai into the nearby bush. What? Tazuna tensed as Karabi pushed them both down. Yujuto dropped to the ground also, but Naruto turned quickly, unsheathing the Ryujin and bringing it up to deflect the oncoming attack. A massive sword, a Zanbato, came flying out of the trees and slammed into the Ryujin, forcing Naruto back several feet, but it ultimately clattered to the ground. Impressive boy. To withstand the force behind a thrown sword of that size like that is impressive for a genin. I see you trained your students well, Hachibi, the attacker said as he appeared beside his fallen sword. He shouldered the massive weapon and glared, not that it matters. Hand over the bridge builder now, he demanded. Who the hell is this guy? Naruto asked as he held the Ryujin at his side. Momochi Zabuza, one of the 7 shinobi swordsmen of the mist. He's nicknamed the Demon of the Mist in the bingo book. It said that he once tried to assassinate the Yonde Mizukage, Yujuto explained. It's good that I know whose ass I'm about to kick, Naruto said as he planted his sword in the ground beside him and brought his hands together in a seal. Jinchuriki no Jutsu, an instant later red chakra exploded from his body. That's the one the hell he learned how to harness the Kyuubi's chakra? Yujuto thought in surprise. I really need to thank Sensei for teaching me this jutsu, Naruto thought as he grasped the Ryujin again. My power comes with a price, boy, remember that, he heard a sinister voice say from the back of his mind. Consider it rent for housing you for so damn long, Naruto shot back as he twirled the Ryujin in his hands like it was second nature. This chakra is inhuman, Zabuza narrowed his eyes as the boy disappeared in a burst of speed. There's no question, the Nuke-nin thought and turned swiftly, digging Kubikiri Hocho into the ground just as Naruto appeared behind him and swung Ryujin around, hitting the Kubikiri Hocho with a resounding clang of metal striking metal. He is definitely a Jinchuriki if that jutsu and chakra of his is anything to go by. Still, compared to Yagura team, he's nothing more than a child, Zabuza thought before he spun quickly and cleaved the blonde boy in half. Naruto! Yujuto shouted as saw her teammate bisected. Why aren't you helping them? Tazuna asked the jonin at his side, who was currently writing in his notebook. Because I want to see how they fare in a real fight. It should be an interesting sight, Karabi answered in rap. There was no blood. Just a poof of smoke. A shadow clone? Zabuza thought in alarm as an orange blur appeared behind him. He turned quickly only to receive a solid punch across the face, knocking him away. How do you like that? Naruto's voice echoed through the clearing. A second later, Zabuza suddenly dissolved into water. What? Not bad, kid, but you just aren't there yet, the real Zabuza said as he appeared behind the blonde boy. Now die! The Nuke-nin shouted as he brought down Kubikiri Hocho on the boy. There was an echoing clang as Yujuto appeared before them, 2 kunai in hand, her body covered in blue-purple chakra, and clashed with the far larger Kubikiri Hocho. Hehe, so he has 2 Jinchuriki students, how fitting! Zabuza laughed as he forced his sword further down, trying to knock the girl off balance. Naruto then came in from the side and slashed with the Ryujin, forcing Zabuza to back off. Yujuto then jumped over the boy and threw a ball of lightning at the Nuke-nin. Raikyu! Yujuto called out as she hurled the jutsu at him. It struck its target, and Zabuza dissolved into water. Damn it, he made a water clone. The real Zabuza suddenly appeared behind the two and swung Kubikiri Hocho round. I've got you now, kiddies. There was a resounding clang as Kubikiri Hocho hit a katana held by Karabi. I thought you were sitting out, he taunted. You two take a break and consider what's at stake, Karabi said to his 2 students. So you're finally getting off your ass and doing something, eh? Alright, I'll take you on, Zabuza said and spun quickly, bring his sword around to slash the dark-skinned jonin. Karabi withdrew another sword and parried the strike with ease. He then flexed his arms slightly and another 5 swords shot into the air, which he caught with different parts of his body. What the dash? Karabi stood there for a moment and spoke with the hilt of a sword in his mouth. I'll give you a taste of my hook. What's up with that stance? Zabuza thought with narrowed eyes as Karabi suddenly shot forward. Shit, he grunted as he pulled back just as Karabi struck down on the position he was just at. Faster than most could see, Kyuubi was already upon him again, forcing him to bring Kubikiri Hocho up to defend himself. Yo, first I'm gonna float and fly like a butterfly, Kyuubi began as he charged lightning chakra through his swords, knocking Kubikiri Hocho to the side and leaving an opening in Zabuza's defenses. What's up with his kenjutsu? I can barely read it at all, Zabuza thought with widened eyes. Then I sting you like a killer bee. 'Cause I'm the eight-tailed beast, Kyuubi declared as he impaled Zabuza with 5 of his swords. Awesome, Naruto thought as he watched on. Zabuza hit the ground with a thud as the Hachibi Jinchuriki moved in to finish him off, and I end my flow with a finishing blow. A white blur came in from the side and grabbed Zabuza, rolling them out of the way just as Kyuubi struck down. Where the hell did he come from? Naruto shouted as he pointed to the newcomer who was wearing a mask. I didn't even sense him, Yujito muttered worriedly. You aren't a hunter nin, Kyuubi said simply and charged forward. You would have killed this guy already instead of saving him, you little fly, he shouted as he closed in. We must escape now, the mask-wearing newcomer thought quickly and formed a hand seal. The newcomer and Zabuza disappeared in a poof of smoke a second later, Shunshin no Jutsu. What was that about? Naruto asked confused. The guy who saved Zabuza was dressed as a Kiri hunter nin, but if that was true then he would have not only killed Zabuza himself but also completely destroyed the body. That hunter nin was clearly one of Zabuza's allies, Yujito explained. So it's not over yet, Naruto said as he sheathed the Ryujin. That's not a pleasant thought, Tazuna said with a sigh. Come on, my house is not too far from here. We can rest once we're there this way. The 4 disappeared into the mist again a moment later. Land of Wave, Nami House. Are you alright, father? The 28-year-old woman asked Tazuna. The bridge builder nodded with a sigh as he dropped onto the futon. You look like you've been through hell. Stupid old drunk, he didn't even do anything, Naruto muttered before Yujito elbowed him. I'm fine, Tsunami, but it's been a long day so I need my sleep, Tazuna said as he stared up at the ceiling. Zabuza will probably take a week to recover. What until then? Yujito asked. We're gonna train Yo, and then we're gonna make them wet their pants like little ants, Kyuubi replied in song. And how do we do that? Yujito inquired. Kuchios no Jutsu, Naruto said as he slapped his hand down on the ground and seals spread out across it. A large scroll instantly appeared in before him, and he hefted it up onto his shoulders. What is that? Yujito asked surprised. This is the forbidden scroll of sealing which I brought with me when I left Konoha and came to Kumo. The Reikage can't open it because of something the dragons did to it, and they'd been holding onto it for me. Only I can open it because it's key to my blood so no one else can get their hands on its secrets, Naruto explained as he set the scroll down. So what's in it? Yujito asked intrigued. Every jutsu Konoha has ever acquired, including my father's, Naruto replied. You don't have the chakra control yet for those, fool, ya fool, Kyuubi spoke up. Yeah, I know, Naruto nodded in understanding. You need to bring up your control, so I want you to start walking on water while swirling kunai in your hand. This will allow you to at the very least stand, Kyuubi said to his 2 students. Yes, Kyuubi-sensei, the 2 genin nodded at the order. Just then a young boy entered the room. And Naruto could tell it was going to be a long week. Land of Wave, Nami House. So what's the plan? Yujito asked as they all sat down at the kitchen table. We find out where they're hiding and bring them pain. That way we will become their bane, Kyuubi rapped. So we find this Gato guy and then hit him where it hurt, right? Naruto asked, having gotten used to their sensei's habits. Right, oh Nino, Kyuubi sang with a nod. How do we find him? I'm a sensory type and I can't sense Zabuza or that hunter nin anywhere on the island. Where do we start looking? Yujito asked. Naruto, you should make some clones and have them scout the other islands. When you find something, Yujito should be able to locate Zabuza. Fools ya fools, Kyuubi explained. I'll do that, Naruto nodded. Why? No matter how hard you train, you'll never match Gato's thugs, yelled Tazuna's grandson, Inari. You all act cool and talk tough, but big, strong guys like that are always too much for people weaker than they are. They'll destroy you. Shut up, I'm not you and I'm not going to lose to anyone. Least of all a bunch of bullies, Naruto said with a snort. Just watching you ticks me off. You go running your mouth when you don't know a thing. This isn't your town, and you don't know a thing about me. You're always clowning around and having fun. You don't know a thing about suffering or loneliness, or what my life is like, Inari shouted. Actually, I know more than you think, Naruto said after a moment. I've heard that your father was considered a hero, someone who put his life on the line to do the right thing, and your entire country betrayed him by not helping him. You think you're the only one has suffered? Don't be stupid, he leveled a glare at the boy. Since the day I was born I have been lied to by those around me, and people have even tried to kill me simply because I exist. My father was a hero too, and despite that they discarded his dying wish, and even went as far as to not even tell me he was my father. Naruto Yujito thought in surprise and a bit of sadness as Kurabi looked on silently. I had to be brought to the edge of insanity just to find out who my father was, and you sit there in front of me and whine about Gato's invincible mercenaries? Don't insult me, Naruto snarled as his flash red for a moment. I have stood in front of a demon that could level a nation by itself and chose to become a sage instead of a monster. Even now it tries to corrupt me, but I won't let it, and I'll keep fighting long after Gato is dead. He stood up a moment later and headed for the door. I'm out of here. Wait, Naruto Yujito stood up in protest, but Kurabi grabbed her arm. Let him go, he needs to time, so take it slow, the Hachibi Jinchuriki told her. Was what he said true? Tsunami asked worriedly. He hasn't had a very good life even by Jinchuriki standards, Kurabi explained. He has only started to live his life away from those bastards, he finished referring to Konoha. At least Kumo trained me, but unlike Kumo, Konoha didn't want anything to do with the Kyuubi, he added after a moment. I didn't know, Yujito stammered out and lowered her gaze to the floor. I had no idea that I thought he was treated like we are. Naruto grew up facing the darker side of humanity. Even I am amazed he has maintained his sanity, Kurabi said with sigh. He wasn't beaten or anything like that, but they wouldn't have lifted a finger if he were to go splat. And I said those things to him back in Kumo. I'm such a fool, Yujito thought sadly. Land of Wave, Gato's fortress. Deep in the woods of one of the neighboring islands was a large fortress built into several trees that towered above the earth. This fortress was the home of Gato's operations in the Land of Wave and was the current location of the still recovering Momochi Zabuza. It had been nearly a week since his defeat at the hands of Team B, and he was almost fully recovered. Keyword, almost. Talk about paranoid. There's enough guards here to hold off a full-scale invasion, Yujito whispered as the three overlooked the massive base. How do we get in? She asked as she stared at the mass of mercenaries below. How about right through the front door? Naruto quipped. Be serious for once, Yujito shot back. I'm being serious. I say we go down there and kick their collective ass. Isn't that what we're here for? Naruto responded. Yes, but we need a plan. Preferably something that doesn't nail us to someone's fan, Kurabi responded simply. How about I blow up the entire fortress? There's this new jutsu I want to try anyway, Naruto said as he rubbed his hands together in glee. What do you have in mind? Yujito asked almost fearfully. She'd never seen that look on him before, and she gulped when he formed a familiar seal. Just watch. Tajikage Bunshin no Jutsu. He pushed as much chakra into it as he could, and the guards looked up just in time to see a massive army of 1,000 shadow clones pop into existence. How did he? There's no way he should have that much chakra even with the Kyuubi. Yujito thought with wide eyes as the clones charged towards the entrances to the fortress. He can make army with a hand seal. That's not a bad deal, Kurabi thought, intrigued. Stupid Kyuubi, always showing off, he heard the Hachibi grunt in the back of his mind. Charge. The clones flooded inside the complex, and a few moments later explosions riddled the outer walls. Bunshin Daibakuha. The clones shouted as they exploded all over the place. And that is how it is done, Naruto said with a smug look on his face. He took a mock bow and said, Thank you. Please hold the applause. He waved to the flames that now engulfed the fortress. And people say my pranks are useless, he said mockingly. When did you learn that? Yujito asked him. How to make exploding clones? A few days ago from the scroll, but I couldn't really get it down right. It takes too much chakra, Naruto sighed. Was that your first kill? Kurabi asked, for once not looking to make light of the situation. No, Naruto answered simply. By summoning Miyako-chan to kill Mizuki was my first kill, even if I was knocked out at the time. I will never feel sorry for the deaths of these people, if that's what they can be called after what they've done to this country. He's still in the infant stages of his development, even if his power is growing faster than I imagined, Kurabi thought in acceptance. A blur suddenly appeared behind him and he turned swiftly, drawing one of his swords and parrying the strike from a large zanbato. You really think you can get the drop on me? The Rockin' Killer Bee? He shouted to his assailant. Don't make me laugh. Zabuza shouted back as he pushed down on his sword. Haku! Deal with the brats. He ordered, and a blue blur appeared from the side. It was the fake Hunter Nin. Down! Yujito shouted as she pushed both herself and Naruto down, avoiding a volley of Saban needles. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto crossed his fingers and created a pair of clones as they fell through the trees towards the ground below. The two clones grabbed them and hurled the two Jinchuriki up onto a nearby branch. Where the hell did he come from? I couldn't even sense him, Yujito responded as Haku jumped towards them and sent a volley of Saban at the pair. Incoming! The Kumo Kunoichi warned and the two Jinchuriki jumped out of the way. Sensatsu Susho! The masked nin called out as she sent a massive spray of Saban at the pair. Damn it, Yujito grunted as the Saban closed in. Naruto came in from the side and tackled her to the ground to avoid the barrage. What are you doing, you fool? What does it look like? I'm saving your life, Naruto shot back as his legs hit the floor, sliding for several feet before finally stopping with Yujito in his arms. His eyes never left the fake hunter nin as she dropped down to ground level also. Hayatan, Hayomu, Haku said as she formed one-handed seal. Ice exploded from the ground below the two and impaled Naruto through the stomach. I have never killed before, but Zabuza-sama tells me that I cannot afford to hold back against you two, so I will have to fight to kill. Naruto! Yujito said in shock at seeing the blonde boy impaled. Not bad, but Haku, was it? You made one very crucial mistake which everyone has made at one point or another, Naruto rasped out before he exploded in smoke. That was a shadow clone? But that means he sent a clone to save the girl from my last attack while the real him got into position. Haku thought as an orange blur appeared behind her. You underestimated me, the blonde boy finished as he attacked. Naruto swung the Ryujin in one swift motion, intent on cleaving the masked nin's head right off, but just before he struck his target a figure parried the blow. This action caught everyone by surprise. Even Kurabi and Zabuza stopped suddenly to look at the newcomer. Naruto backed off a moment later and looked up at the newcomer's face. It was his own. The Dark One. Hey, it's strange, huh? How your teammates get the easier life, the figure sneered as his head rose to reveal 6 distinguishable marks on his cheeks. Naruto, did you create another clone? Yujito asked nervously upon seeing a copy of her teammate. No, Naruto answered simply as he readied the Ryujin. What a bunch of pests, the copy snorted and leveled a glare at Naruto. Call me Yami. He was dressed in an outfit similar to Naruto, but instead of orange, black and white, Yami's was mostly black and with tinges of red here and there. He looks just like me, Naruto whispered as Yami drew an identical copy of the Ryujin from his scabbard and dropped it to his side. An irremovable spot on the hero's history. That's he shouldn't be able to take a physical form, Kurabi muttered with narrowed eyes. Konoha treated us like a pariah and Kumo treats us like a godsend, but we both know we're just tools to them all. Surely you understand, Naruto, Yami spoke up. Who are you? Naruto questioned. Can't you tell? I'm you. I'm the darkness inside your heart, Yami explained. What the hell are you talking about? I have no idea who you are. Don't give me that crap, Naruto shouted as he shot forward, twirling the Ryujin in his hand for a few seconds and before he swung horizontally at the copy. Foolish, Yami quickly parried the blow in one swift motion, identical to Naruto's own strike, causing them to clash. You have no idea how that sword of yours works, do you? It is one of 2 swords crafted long ago to wield the ultimate power of the ancient rulers of this world. By accepting the Ryujin, you've allowed me to form from the darkness and hatred in your heart to bond with the sword in my hands now. The Onijin is the dark counterpart to the Ryujin, and I will use it to slay you, Naruto. What do you want from me? Naruto shouted as he pushed forward, striking at the copy only for Yami to parry each blow. What I want? You don't get it. I want what both of us has always wanted, Yami shouted back as they broke apart. I want power. I want to be the best there is, and I want people to acknowledge my existence. That's what I want. That's what we want. Damn, things are really getting bad, Kurabi thought as he backed away from Zabuza. He hadn't been fighting all out because he wanted to see how far his students had come, but things were getting complicated now. I'd better end this quickly and help the brat. He sheathed the 7 swords in a matter of seconds, surprising the Kiri-nuke-nin. You're giving up? Zabuza asked, almost annoyed. Got no choice but to cut loose. Otherwise my team will be nothing more than a stuffed goose, Kurabi replied and held his right hand up in their air with a hand seal. Here comes the 8th. He let out a bull-like whine as red chakra exploded from his body and took the shape of a human-sized ox with 3 chakra tails. Oh, this can't be good, Zabuza thought worriedly. I've had enough of this little game, Yami declared as he backed off. With the Onijin still in hand, he formed a familiar hand seal, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Instantly 10 clones popped into existence around him and charged forward. Time to die. He can create shadow clones too? Yujito said in surprise as the clones charged. Rai Bunshin no Jutsu sent a dozen lightning clones to intercept them. The real Yami appeared behind Haku in a burst of speed and struck with all his strength. Thankfully, Haku managed to evade the strike, mostly since it nicked her shoulder as she jumped away. A split second later, Naruto appeared in front of the copy and lunged with the Ryujin. Yami executed a quick replacement with one of his remaining clones and skidded to a halt a few feet away. He's faster than me, Naruto commented in frustration. Yami remained silent for a moment, and then they heard it. It started as a low chuckle but eventually became full-blown laughter as Yami's eyes glowed crimson. Yujito suppressed a shiver as she looked on at the twisted copy of her teammate and couldn't help but feel horrified at being in its mere presence. You really are a fool. You have no idea how these swords work at all, do you? Yami asked mockingly before he licked Haku's blood off the Onijin. Allow me to show you one of the Onijin's abilities, the ability to copy bloodlines. Haku's eyes widened at his words as ancient runes started appearing on his body. Chimera no Jutsu, he whispered before forming a one-handed seal. Makio Hyosho. Suddenly dozens of ice mirrors appeared around the three combatants. This is my bloodline jutsu, Haku said in shock. Does it have a weakness? Yujito questioned as the three stood back to back. None that I know of. No one has ever survived when I use it. At least no one inside has been able to defeat me, Haku replied. What about outside? Yujito continued. The mirrors are vulnerable from the outside, yes, Haku answered with a nod. Naruto quickly formed a hand seal a second later, and red chakra exploded from his body. Alright then, Jinchuriki no Jutsu. This should even the odds a little. Damn, Yami grunted as Naruto sent out the largest shockwave he could create, and shattered the ice long enough for the three to escape. The ice dissolved a moment later. I must still need to train in controlling whatever bloodlines I acquire. Give up, Yami, you can't win, Naruto said clearly. Yami laughed again. You really think that, don't you? Please don't insult me, Naruto. After all, you should know better than anyone not to underestimate yourself. Now what is he doing? Naruto thought as he jumped back to regroup with Yujito and Haku. Does this happen to you often? Haku asked the two blondes. Don't really know, it's our first real mission, Yujito answered nervously. I pray that it isn't your last then, Haku said after a moment. Dark Knight of the Fallen Kingdom, I humbly ask that you grant me power. The power of the forgotten, the power of destruction, and the power of reincarnation. I call upon you, Crusader. Ascendo! Yami exclaimed as he slammed the Onijin into the ground in front of him. Purple light exploded from the sword, forcing everyone watching to cover their eyes. When it died down, everyone could see again, and they could see it all. What is that? Yujito asked as she gazed up. There, towering over them, was a massive black armored giant with raven-like wings and an equally massive black sword, the Onijin, in his hand. Runes and symbols covered the armor, and its helmet was shaped like a bird. It stood at roughly 20 feet tall. Its eyes glowed red as it cast its gaze down at the three before it flapped its wings, knocking over several trees in the process, and sent them flying back through the forest. What is going on over there? Kirabi thought as he felt the massive spike of chakra coming from where his students were fighting. It looks like things are heating up. Catch me if you can, Zabuza said before dissolved into water. He must be going after the others, Kirabi quickly deduced and took off into the trees. That thing almost killed us, Haku gritted out as she stood shakily. If it weren't for Zabuza-sama's training, I wouldn't have survived that blast. What is that thing? The armored giant spoke with Yami's twisted voice. I am a knight of the ancients, and this is my true form. The form of Crusader, and the one who will kill you all right here and now. He's too strong. These chakra levels, they're inhuman, Yujito rasped, out of breath. You have no idea how that sword of yours works, do you? It is one of two swords crafted long ago to wield the ultimate power of the ancient rulers of this world. What did he mean by that? Naruto asked as he clutched the Ryujin at his side. Suddenly it started to glow red. What the dash? You want power, don't you, boy? What? Who said that? Naruto thought in surprise. If you want the power to protect those with you, then repeat after me and give me the strength to come forth. Naruto's eyes started to glow gold as the Ryujin glowed a terrifying crimson. Wait, that's... No! Yami shouted, but it was already too late. Holy Knight Champion of the Ancients, I ask you to grant me power. The power to protect, the power to defend, and the power to safeguard the innocent. I call upon you, Duke. Ascendo! Light exploded from the dragon blade and blinded everyone in the area. When it died down, Yami took a step back. It can't be. Two thuds echoed through the forest as a large armored knight with similar size to Yami secured its footing and stood tall. A long red sword, the Ryujin, in its right hand and a massive blue shield in the other. It was plated white with patterns of gold covering its form, and a long blue cape flowing in the wind behind it. "Whoa, this feels incredible," came a familiar voice from the knight. "And Naruto?" Yujito asked in shock as the white knight's eyes flashed gold for an instant. "Yami, I'm taking you down," Naruto declared as he leveled his sword at the black knight. "Yujito, Haku-san, move to a safe distance while I deal with this," he said before he charged forward. "This isn't going like I had planned," Yami thought in anger as he parried the first blow. Naruto lunged and Yami narrowly evaded the attack. "He's getting faster." "Raiten, Dorigen raging!" Naruto shouted as he turned into a blur. His speed just doubled, tripled even, Yami thought in frustration and a little bit of worry. He jumped high and flapped his wings to keep himself airborne. "As long as I remain in the air, he can't get me," he thought before he dived towards the white knight. "Here he comes," Naruto thought as Yami closed in. The moment Yami was in range, the black knight stabbed his sword towards Naruto only for him to disappear and his cape to flutter away. "What?" Yami blinked in confusion and quickly looked around but saw no movement. Where did he go? He thought with narrowed eyes. His eyes suddenly widened when he heard an echoing screech like that of chalk streaking across a blackboard and looked up quickly. Above me, there, descending on him was his opponent. "Raiten, Fainerajajimento!" Naruto shouted as gathered chakra into the Ryujin and struck down, creating a massive explosion and blowing away a good section of the forest around them. "Holy Mother of Yujito!" shouted as she and Haku clutched the shaking ground. "Stay down!" she shouted to Haku as the ground cracked around them and shattered into chunks of debris. When the blast died down, Haku couldn't help but ask, what was that?" "I think that was Naruto," Yujito rasped out as she looked over at the masked Nin. "Well, formerly anyway, since her mask was now destroyed. Are you alright?" "I've been better," Haku admitted as she leaned back against a chunk of debris. "Hey, look," she pointed towards the vanishing dust cloud and saw both knights standing apart, facing each other. Hehehehe, Yami chuckled darkly as he rose to his feet once more. "Don't think you've won just yet. I'm not finished yet, Naruto!" he shouted as he channeled chakra into the Onijin. "What's he planning?" Naruto thought as Yami took the Onijin in both hands and struck down on the earth. "Raiten, Sitoraikuratening!" Yami exclaimed as a large blast of lightning discharged from the tip of the Onijin. Naruto had already brought up his shield to defend against the attack and was pushed back several feet by its force. This guy, Naruto thought as he reinforced his footing to better hold back his opponent's attack. "Katan, Senpu Hozenka!" Yami called out as his wings extended and a massive blast of flames erupted from them. The flames spun in the shape of a tornado with a phoenix at its head before extending around the sides of Naruto and then coming inwards to strike at White Knight's unprotected back. "Damn it, he's backing me into a corner," Naruto realized as he jumped high, very high, to avoid the two attacks being thrown at him. "Naruto! Those jutsu he's using are meant to be used in combination. Don't let them hit you!" Yujito shouted from the sidelines. "I know!" Naruto shouted back as Yami flew up towards him. "Too slow!" Yami laughed and thrust out his sword. "Shut up!" Naruto shouted back as he brought his sword down to counter. "Raiten, Sitoraikuratening!" "Raiten, Fainerajajimento!" The world around them shook as the two airborne knights clashed with thunderous force, pun intended. They fell a moment later and continued to attack one another even as they closed in on the ground. They hit the ground a few seconds later and dust exploded into the air from the impact. When it cleared, both knights clashed one last time before they pushed themselves away from each other. "And Naruto?" Yujito asked worriedly. Naruto's breathing was ragged and the armor itself seemed to be alive with heavy breathing. "I'm reaching my limit," he informed her in between breaths. Suddenly a large buildup of chakra caught everyone's attention as Zabuza arrived and moved to kill Yujito. Yujito turned but knew she couldn't do anything and closed her eyes. Lariat! Kurabi appeared from the side and delivered a fatal blow to Zabuza's chest, much to everyone's surprise, especially Haku's. "Zabuza-sama!" Haku shouted as she ran to her fallen mentor's side. "Haku," Zabuza rasped out. "What's going on over here, Yujito? And who are these weirdos?" Kurabi questioned as he looked over at the two knights. "The white one is Naruto, but the other one is the enemy," Yujito replied. "I see, then leave it to me," Kurabi said as his skin started to tear itself apart and condense around him. A few seconds later, a giant ox with 8 tails/tentacles appeared and roared at the Black Knight. "Now look upon me, the Rockin' Hachibi!" the ox roared. This is not turning out like I had planned at all, Yami thought and glared hatefully at Kyuubi and Naruto. I don't think I care to face a knight and a tailed beast today, maybe some other time. We will meet again, Naruto, Yami declared and flapped his wings. He took to the sky a moment later and started to fly away as fast as he could. He's getting away! Yujito shouted out. Not if I can help it, Naruto growled out and raised his shield. It glowed blue as the crystal in its center started to gather chakra. Raitun, Feinerueriushin. A white blast of pure chakra lanced out of the shield and shot after the fleeing Black Knight. It hit its target and exploded upon contact, but after a few moments of silence it quickly became clear that Yami had escaped. Damn it, he got away, Naruto growled out in frustration. I wouldn't worry too much about it, not when we need to find out about this little bit, Kyuubi said as he gestured towards Naruto's form. Naruto's shield flashed blue 3 times before his form was engulfed in light. It died down a few seconds later and regular, human Naruto stood in its place with the normal Ryujin in hand. He sighed as he dropped to his knees, breathing harder than ever and feeling beyond exhausted. Kyuubi retracted the Hachibi's chakra and dropped down beside his tired student. You alright, Naruto? Are you gonna puke yo? Kyuubi asked him as Naruto's breathing stabilized slightly. Just give me a minute, Naruto waved him away. Well, they've certainly made a mess out of you, Zabuza, spoke an arrogant voice from the edge of the battlefield. What a pity, oh well, I wasn't going to pay you anyway. Everyone turned to see an army of mercenaries and a short but fat man at the front of the crowd. Gato, Zabuza rasped out in anger as he turned his head towards the businessman. What are you doing here? He growled. This isn't how I had planned it, but plans aren't always foolproof, Gato replied. After this lot destroyed my base, I decided to make this personal, and here we are. You must have guessed I never intended to pay, and now that you've made me lose more money than I can forgive, well, to put it simply, you're all going to die here and now. Zabuza gritted out in pain as he rose to his feet. A war cry escaped his lips as he grabbed the Kubikiri Hocho and charged towards Gato and his mercenaries. Wait, Zabuza-sama! Haku called out as her mentor assaulted the army of mercs single-handed. Haku! Zabuza shouted to her over the screams of death that followed the slaughter he brought. I release you from my service. You can do what you want from now on. He closed in on his target. This is my end, he said finally and cleaved Gato in half in one swift motion. Zabuza-sama, Haku said as she dropped to her knees. By now the demon of the mist was already impaled by multiple spears and swords, but was still continuing to fight. Eventually he fell under the combined assault of the 100, formerly 200 mercs, and dropped to the ground with his mask sliding off to reveal his face one last time. Damn, that bastard just killed our meal ticket, one of the mercs said. Let's kill them, another merc shouted. You think you can take them while we're here? Everyone turned to see Inari, armed with a crossbow and with at least 300 villagers behind him. Run away! The mercs shouted as they turned and fled towards the harbor where their boats were located. It's over, Yujito sighed in relief. Zabuza-sama, Haku whispered as she knelt down beside her fallen mentor. Snow started to fall as she cried, I was supposed to be his tool, nothing more. Silence fell on the gathered group as they paid their respects to those that suffered this day. Yami Naruto clenched his fists at his side as he gazed up at the sky. The clouds parted to allow the sun to shine through. Land of Wave, clearing/near Tazuna's house. Kuchios no Jutsu! Naruto exclaimed as he slammed his hand down on the ground. A moment later Hattori appeared in a poof of smoke. Hotori-sama, it's good to see you again. I wish I could say the same, boy, the dragon said. You know what I'm going to ask, don't you? Naruto phrased it like a question, but they both knew it wasn't. So you've finally encountered the Black Knight, Hattori spoke simply. It is an entity which wields the darkest emotions of the White Knight. You. Me? Why me? Naruto asked him. That's simple, you wield the Ryujin, the dragon boss answered with a snort. When you accepted the Ryujin, when you accepted Duke, you were able to draw on his power, on your power, and wield it against your darkness. The Black Knight is known as Crusader. He is the embodiment of death and destruction given physical form. The Onijin is the Ryujin's dark counterpart, and its equal in every shape and form. Then how do I beat him? Naruto asked in frustration. Beat him? Foolish boy, he is you, so you should know better than anyone. You cannot defeat yourself in such a way. You will have to fight him, but you cannot kill him, because if you do, he will just reform later, Hattori explained. So what do I do then? Naruto shot back. You will have to find the answer to that yourself, Hattori responded. Great, as if things weren't bad enough, what the hell is up with these swords anyway? Naruto restrained himself from outright shouting. I'd better start at the beginning. Tell me, boy, do you know the story of the Rikudo Sennin? Hattori questioned. Yeah, he was supposed to be this big guy who discovered chakra. Naruto blinked at the odd question. The Rikudo Sennin was a priest who went from town to town and taught ninjutsu to everyone who came to him. He became known as a god by defeating the most powerful demon in history, a demon so powerful it made even the Kyuubi look like an ant in comparison. It was known simply as the Kyuubi, Hattori explained. There's a biju with more tails than the Kyuubi? Naruto asked in shock. It was a creature of unrivaled strength, and unlike the biju of today, it was able to contain its mind enough to think about what it was doing. It was an abomination that wanted to destroy everything and kill everyone it came across. Even my kind was threatened by it. My own father was killed by it, Hattori continued. What's this got to do with the knights? Naruto asked. The Kyuubi commanded an army of lesser demons and sent them to hunt those that were hiding during its reign. The Rikudo Sennin's first encounter with the Kyuubi ended with him almost dying from the combined efforts of the Kyuubi and the lesser demons. He knew he couldn't defeat them all at once, so he forged several weapons out of extremely old magic, Hattori explained. The Ryujin and the Onijin, Naruto realized. Not quite, Hattori smiled at his quizzical look. He crafted 5 swords and infused them with parts of his chakra. Those 5 swords merged and allowed him to become the final knight of the ancients. I only saw it once, but he defeated the Kyuubi with it along with the Rinnegan, his bloodline. He was a god knight, and I can still remember the words he said to us after the battle was over. What did he say? Naruto asked. I have brought peace and order, Hattori quoted. That's what he said. He died a few years later. And you're saying the Kyuubi is one of the lesser demons that survived the war? Naruto asked. No, the Rikudo Sennin wiped out most of them and forced the rest to flee, including the Reibi. Only the most battle-hardened of demons remained behind after the fall of the Kyuubi, and the Kyuubi came into existence after the Kyuubi's defeat along with the rest of the biju of today. The Kyuubi and the rest of the biju are actually parts of the Kyuubi's chakra core. The Rikudo Sennin split the Kyuubi into the 9 biju of today just before he died, and on his deathbed he constructed the moon itself to act as a prison for the physical remains of the Kyuubi, Hattori explained. He created the moon? That's the scale of what you're talking about, as Naruto began. The Rikudo Sennin was a monument to humanity's potential and deserves nothing but the utmost respect. After the battle was over, he placed the Ryujin and the Onijin in our possession, while he entrusted the other 3 swords to others. He also foretold a prophecy which said that his successor, a child of prophecy, would come to us in order to claim the swords. Many have tried, but all have failed to control the power of the knights. In fact, nearly every one of them has been killed by their own power, Hattori continued. And you think I'm this child of prophecy? Naruto asked incredulously. I don't know, Hattori finished. Naruto looked at the crimson sword in his hand and clenched its handle. I am not sure what you want me to do. Do what you must, Hattori said simply. Where did the Kyuubi come from? You said it just appeared one day, so where was it before that? Naruto asked, confused. The great dragon remained silent for a moment before he answered. It came from the realm of oblivion where nothing exists. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto asked, even more confused. Tell me, boy, what do you know about Pandora's box? Hattori asked with narrowed eyes. I've never heard of it, Naruto replied. It was created by a goddess long ago to house all the evil in the world, the dragon explained. It has only been opened once in all of existence, and that was the time when the Kyuubi and its minions were released. Wait, you're saying the Kyuubi came from a box? Naruto asked in disbelief. Is it so hard to believe? You have a demon sealed within your stomach, Hattori shot back. Pandora's box is a prison like any other, however this prison is connected directly to the realm of oblivion where only emptiness exists. The box holds incredible destructive power and has been sought after by many men. It's fitting that only a woman is capable of touching the box and opening it. So even if someone found it, they wouldn't be able to open it unless they were a girl? Why? Naruto questioned. The box is hidden away in a place eons old that even I do not know. Only the biju know of its location, and none of them are capable of touching the box. Only a human female is capable of touching the box without being sealed within it, Hattori explained. Why are you telling me all of this? Naruto asked him. Because your darker counterpart has already learned this information and will most likely use it to his advantage. Use this information wisely, boy, Hattori concluded before he disappeared in a poof of smoke. Easy for you to say, Naruto thought with a sigh. What are you really up to, Yami? Land of Wave, Mainland Bridge. 2 weeks passed as the bridge was completed and the Kyuubi team was standing in front of Zabuza's grave. Everyone remained quiet as Haku placed the hitai on the post and took a step back. Even Kurabi hadn't said a word as the service had begun by Tazuna and ended with the team turning to leave. Haku, come on, we're leaving, Naruto said her as he saw that she wasn't moving. Goodbye, Zabuza-sama. Haku bowed her head in respect for her fallen mentor before turning away and following the team. On her back was the large Kubikiri Hocho which she kept as a memento of the man who saved her life years ago. They soon arrived at the bridge to see most of the villagers there waiting for them. Thanks to you, our bridge has been completed, but it's going to be pretty dull around here when you're gone, Tazuna spoke with a chuckle. We've enjoyed your hospitality, thank you, Yujito said and bowed in respect. Tazuna, you old drunk, we'll come back and play with you again. Just make sure the next time you call us there are bad guys involved, Naruto quipped. I'll do that, Tazuna chuckled with a nod. Come on team, let's go home while we're still in the zone, Kurabi rapped as he started down the bridge towards the mainland with Haku trailing behind him. Inari Naruto trailed off as he saw the younger boy's face. I promised myself I wouldn't cry, Inari said as he tried to remain calm. It's okay to cry when you're happy, Naruto said with a smile before he followed his team. That boy touched Inari's heart, and Inari touched the hearts of the villagers because of him. Naruto built the bridge that eventually carried us all hope and courage just like a knight of the Western lands. And speaking of bridges, we still need to name this one and there's only one name I think will fit, Tazuna declared with a smile. What are you going to call it? Tsunami asked her father. How about the Great Naruto Bridge? Tazuna suggested. Heh, it's a nice name, Dad, Tsunami chuckled. Then I named this bridge the Great Naruto Bridge, Tazuna declared, and the crowd cheered for the peace they now had. Land of Fire, Fire Temple. It was early morning when the monks began their daily activities, but many of them could sense the approaching storm that was slowly creeping its way towards them. In the forest just outside of the temple, a familiar 12-year-old boy walked up beside the main gate of the temple. From the trees he could see the monks on guard at the entrance, and couldn't help but smirk at them. He had been traveling for days, ever since his defeat in the Land of Wave at the hands of his counterpart Uzumaki Naruto and that blasted ox. Yami now knew he was no match for his other half with his current level of strength, especially since unlike Naruto he didn't have access to the near-limitless chakra reserves of the Kyuubi no Yoko. That's when he had started to think of a new course of action. He could sense where Naruto was through the residual presence of the Kyuubi's chakra. That was how he had tracked the Kyuumo-gen into Wave, and that was the reason he now stood before the Fire Temple gates. He had felt another signature identical to the Kyuubi's in this temple, albeit on a much smaller scale, but it was still there, and he had come to claim it. All he needed to do was locate the carrier of the Yuki he was sensing. Only 2 guards? I'm almost insulted, Yami thought as before he threw a rock over the wall only for it to explode with a pop. Electrical barrier seal, it looks like I'm going to have to knock, he smiled as he unsheathed his sword and dropped down from the trees. What the, it's a kid, said one of the guards in surprise. Dark Knight of the Fallen Kingdom, I humbly ask that you grant me power. The power of the forgotten, the power of destruction, and the power of reincarnation. I call upon you, Crusader. Ascendo! Yami shouted as he planted his sword into the ground and purple light exploded from him. What the guard spoke before he was struck down by the Black Knight's sword. Hey, what are you? The other guard shouted before Yami flapped his wings and blew the man away. The knight then raised his sword and struck the main gate, right on. The gate was destroyed a moment later, and the barrier dropped, allowing the knight to continue inside the complex. By now dozens of monks were filing into the courtyard as the knight walked through the flames that dotted the area of the gates. The leader of the monks, Chiriku, was standing at the entrance to the main building, looking up at the approaching knight. Yami stopped and extended his wings outwards as he looked over the assembled monks. Who are you, intruder, and why have you come here? Chiriku inquired simply. My name is Yami, the Black Knight declared. I have come for the corrupt power you have in your possession. There is nothing corrupt here, Chiriku responded, not knowing what the entity before him was talking about. You are lying, Yami said simply. You have in your possession something known as a Jinchuriki, or perhaps you only have a piece of one. It doesn't matter, hand it over to me and I shall leave here peacefully. Jinchuriki, the words was muttered. A demon, the Yami clarified as he turned his head towards where he felt the tainted chakra was located. You, his eyes flashed red as he gazed down at a boy the same age as him. That kid, said a monk. I always knew he was trouble, another spoke. I'm afraid I cannot allow you to take him, Chiriku declared, effectively silencing the monks. So be it. Flames exploded from the knight's wings and struck several locations in the courtyard. Katan, Senpu Hozenka! Several monks couldn't escape in time and died as the flames incinerated their bodies within moments. Futan, Yuha Repa Sho! The boy he was after exclaimed as he sent a large claw of chakra at him. This might be fun after all, Yami grinned inside the knight and took to the air. What do you want from me? The boy shouted. Everything. Raitan, Sitoraikuratening! Yami yelled back as he sent a large blast of lightning down at the temple. Reigo, Senjusatsu, Chiriku said as a large spiritual golden cannon with 1,000 arms appeared and shielded the temple from the attack. Interesting. Yami laughed as the cannon suddenly shifted into a red demonic monstrosity right before his eyes. Stay down, Sora, Chiriku said to the boy as he sent 100 spiritual fists at the descending knight. Come here! Raitan, Sitoraikuratening! Yami gave out an echoing battle cry as he struck down on the cannon and forced Chiriku to drop to his knees. And then suddenly, the pressure was gone. What? Chiriku looked up but saw no sign of the knight. A yelp of pain suddenly caught his attention. Sora! Yami stood behind Sora with the onagen resting on the boy's right shoulder and blood flowing out of the wound. Don't move, old man, or he dies, Yami said coldly as red chakra leaked out of Sora's body and flowed into the onagen. You're nothing but a child, Chiriku realized. A child with power, Yami sneered as the red chakra stopped flowing. We're done here, I have what I wanted. He kicked Sora away and quickly threw a set of smoke bombs at the floor. Don't let him escape, Chiriku shouted to the monks as he sent several spiritual fists at the fleeing boy. Kuchios no Jutsu! Yami exclaimed as a hawk appeared alongside him in a poof of smoke. Get us out of here, Takamaru! He ordered and jumped on the now airborne hawk as it took the sky. He got away, one of the monks said through gritted teeth. Sora? Chiriku asked the young boy at his side. My hand. Sora trailed off at seeing his now human hand. He took it away, Chiriku mused as he saw the hawk disappear into the distance. Takamaru, thank you for the help, Yami said to the hawk he was riding on. Did you get what you wanted, master? Asked the hawk. Yes, I did, Yami confirmed with a smile as red chakra wisped across his arms. Where to now? Takamaru asked. I need be ready for my next encounter with my other. I need to start collecting bloodlines, Yami said simply. I heard Konoha is holding something called the Chunin exam this year while we were in Tanzaku town a few days ago, a perfect time to start. So we have a destination? Takamaru inquired. Yes, head south towards Konoha, Yami smirked as they flew off. Aren't you on the run from them? Asked the hawk. Yes, but what better place to hide from those after you than right under their noses? Yami shot back. Land of Lightning, Kumogakyu no Sato / Reikage Tower. Hold on a second, let me get this straight. Not only did you defeat Momochi Zabuza and acquired a bloodline user for Kumo, but you also gained the loyalty of another nation and fought some dark version of Naruto? He asked incredulously. Well, when you put it like that, Naruto muttered sheepishly. Yo, the dark guy we fought is Naruto's darkness. That never happened to me. Fools, ya fools, Kurabi answered. Right, he said as he felt a headache coming on. Do we have any idea where this thing went? He questioned. He disappeared as soon as Kurabi-sensei arrived, Yujito replied, and the Reikage nodded in understanding. If you encounter this Yami again, then I want you to either capture him or kill him, understood? He asked in clarification. Understood, Reikage-sama. The team knew not question his orders on this. He'll be coming after me, sir, Naruto spoke up. He wants to kill me and I will have to face him sooner or later. And by that time you will ready, my brother will see to that, he responded in a serious tone. Now that the issue with Wave is out of the way, Haku was it? The girl in question nodded in reply. What do you wish to do? You can join Kumo if you wish, and I will even place you on the same team as these two. I'd like that, Reikage-sama, Haku said with a bow. You said too, Reikage-sama, Yujito picked up. Yes, I'm reorganizing Team B, he clarified. Kurabi, I need you here in Kumo for the next few months until the Chunin exams are over. Chunin exams? Naruto blinked. It's the exam which genin take to become Chunin. Aren't they being held in Konoha this time? Yujito asked. Yes, they are, however you won't be entering the exams, he said firmly. What? Why not? Yujito questioned. What do you think Konoha would do if Naruto were to step foot in the village? He shot back and everyone fell quiet. It didn't take a genius to figure out what Konoha would try to pull. They would want to capture or kill him. So they can't take the exams this time around. That still doesn't explain why I'm on the rebound, Kyuubi said from the side. Konoha no Naruto is here in Kyuubi, he declared to the room. Wars have been started over less, and I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to pull something. Fine, I'll still hear, Kyuubi sighed. Team B will be reorganized into Naruto, Yujito-chan and Haku. Haku, you will have the rank of genin until I say otherwise, he spoke clearly. Yes, Reikage-sama, Haku nodded in understanding. Good, now Team B, I have a mission for you. The three genin immediately straightened as his aide handed them a file. Her name is Fujikaze Yuki. She's an actress who is rather famous in the movie industry. Currently she is working on a new Princess Gale movie, and they are filming it in the Land of Snow. 10 years ago the Land of Snow was in a state of civil war, with one side being aided by Yukigekyo no Sato. The result was the daimyo murdered and Koyokiheim forced into hiding. These days Yukigekyo no Sato has become erratic and prone to attack anyone who enters the Land of Snow. We're supposed to guard Yuki-san? Yujito inquired. Correct. Yuki-san has a large amount of power despite the fact that she doesn't use it. To the public she is a symbol of hope in this chaotic world we live in, though from what I'm told she doesn't seem to care, he replied gruffly. Your mission is to simply guard her. Normally this is a B-rank mission, however there is a possibility that you may encounter Jonin, so this will be classed as an A-rank mission, understood? Wouldn't this be better for Chunin and Jonin, Reikage-sama? Yujito asked, confused. Normally yes, however missions are erratic right, not because of the exams, and quite frankly I want you three as far away from Konoha and Kyuubi as long as the exams are going on. Understood? He concluded. Yes, Reikage-sama, the three genin answered as one. Good, you've proven yourselves capable in the Land of Waves, so I expect you to keep it up. Dismissed, the Reikage ordered, and the three disappeared out of the door. Isn't this too soon? They may go kaboom, asked his younger brother. I wouldn't have assigned them this mission if I didn't have faith in them, he replied as he leaned back in his chair. Those three are exceptionally powerful from what I read in your report, but they need experience before it happens. What's this that's got you in such a fit? Kyuubi inquired. War, the Reikage answered gruffly. According to the file, Yuki-san should be in the Land of Grass right now and will be continuing on to the Land of Rivers in a few days. We should catch up with them at the Land of Rivers, at least then I'll be able to sense them without the inference from other chakra signatures, Yujito spoke up. Then let's go. The sooner we get there the sooner we find out client. Haku? Naruto said, and then turned to their new teammate. We do not wish to run into any hostile forces, Haku responded after a moment. We should try to mask our presence as much as possible until we reach our client. I agree, tell us what to do, Yujito said to the other girl. They set off a few minutes later with Haku leading the way, mostly because of her training to hide her presence at all costs and to keep the team relatively undetected until they passed through the Land of Fire and into the Land of Rivers. Land of Rivers, film crew campsite. Pandemonium. That's the only word to describe the situation at the campsite as the camera crews ran frantically throughout the area, searching for something or someone. This was the scene that Team B arrived to as they landed on the branches of a nearby tree. Hello? Naruto spoke up, catching the attention of the man in charge. We're ninja from Kyuubi here to guard an actress known as Fujikaze Yuki, he said. The man immediately sighed in relief. I've been expecting you. My name is Sandayu and I am Yuki's manager, spoke a man off to the side. Where is Yuki-san? Asked Yujito. She's the film director, off to the side at the question. What was that? Naruto blinked. She's run away again, the director stated clearly. Run away again? How often does this happen? Naruto asked after a moment. Well, every few hours since we started heading for the Land of Snow, Sandayu admitted. Right, Yujito, can you find her? Naruto asked, turning to his fellow Jinchuriki. The Nibi Jinchuriki nodded and turned towards the east. There is only one chakra signature in the area and it's that way. Haku, you take the lead, Naruto said as he turned to his other teammate. Stay close, Haku said to the two blondes before she took off into the trees. Her teammates followed a moment later. She had to get away. She couldn't go back. Not to there, not to the place that took her father away from her. She couldn't go back. She'd die if she did. She didn't have any fear of death, Far from it actually, she wanted to die. She just didn't want to give those bastards the satisfaction of finally putting her out of her misery. I must get away, was the only thought running through Fujikaze Yuki's head as she ran through the forest towards the Land of Fire border. Thump. She stopped dead in her tracks and turned swiftly to check the source of the sound. Immediately she spotted 3 figures drop down from the trees, 1 boy and 2 girls ranging from the ages of 12 to 14. Fujikaze Yuki? Asked the blonde girl of the group. What's it to you? Yuki shot back as she clutched the purple necklace around her neck. We're your guards and right now you're needed back at the camp. Come on, the boy said, seemingly bored. I'm not going back there, Yuki said with a look of disgust. Haku, Naruto said after a moment, and a moment later the older girl appeared behind Yuki. 1 chop to the neck later and Yuki collapsed in her arms. Why do I get the feeling this will be a long mission? Don't jinx it, Yujito shot back. We should return to camp before dusk, Haku said as she hefted the actress onto her shoulder and they took off into the trees a moment later. Hiding on one of the tree branches nearby was a single-masked man dressed in a long gray cloak and bearing the Hitai of Yukigekyo no Sato. He narrowed his eyes as he watched the 3 genin leave with their objective, and knew he had to report this to his superiors. Silently he disappeared into the trees towards the landing site. Land of Snow, Yuki Airship/Ocean. The room was silent as the film played on the wall screen in the darkened room of the airship, and the occupants couldn't help but feel amused at what they saw. The daimyo of the Land of Snow, a man named Kazuhana Doto, paused the film and spoke with great amusement in his voice. We've finally found her, Doto's voice echoed through the room. And she even has the hex crystal, how interesting. Her escort is a team from Kumo, started Rogue and Nadar. She is being guarded by Team B, students of Yatsuki Karabi. They're just genin, they're not a threat, continued Fuyukuma Mizore. I wouldn't be so sure. You know as well as I do the things Karabi-san has done, and how strong he is. I doubt he would teach just anyone, countered Kakuyoku Fubuki. She's right, his other students and especially that bitch, Samui, aren't normal at all. We should be careful, finished Nadar. The recording then resumed for a moment before it was paused again, this time with the picture of all 3 genin together. Who are these genin exactly? He inquired curiously. The girl on the left is Ni Yujito, the granddaughter of the Sandame Reikage, and is unquestionably skilled in the ninja arts. According to our spies, the other girl is Momochi Haku, the former apprentice of Momochi Zabuza, a member of the 7 shinobi swordsmen of the mist. Finally is the boy. His entire file is classified above top secret, and we couldn't get much information on him, Fubuki explained. Yeah, according to our spies, he was originally from Konoha and failed the graduation exam 3 times, but he managed to kill a chunin before escaping the village with the forbidden scroll of sealing. He's now a member of Kumo and is said to be the main reason that the Land of Wave is now free from the business tycoon. Gado, finished Mizore. What about Konoha? What do they say about him? Nadar inquired. They don't say anything about him. Jiraiya-sama's spy network neutralizes almost all of our spies that go to Konoha, but the ones that have survived reported that this kid has been all but ignored by the populace. Officially he doesn't exist, Fubuki answered. Now that is interesting, Nadar mused with a smirk as he walked in front of the image. Oh? Doto said with a raised eyebrow. This boy must be something dangerous if Konoha is trying so hard to erase his name from their village. Nadar's smirk started to widen. His hand rested on the image of the blonde boy. I wonder why. We will find out soon enough. Just bring me the hex crystal, Doto gave the order. Land of Snow, filmed ship/ocean. Yuki groaned as she awakened from her slumber just long enough to roll over away from the sunlight that came in through the window. The room felt like it was swaying and her head was pounding as she tried to sit up. Yuki-sama, are you awake? Asked a voice which she recognized immediately. Sandaya, could you get me a glass of water? My head won't stop spinning, she said as she rubbed her eyes to clear them of sleep. This is going to sound crazy, but it feels like the room is swaying, she added. Well, actually it's not all that crazy, Sandaya said nervously. What? She blinked only for him to point out of the window at the sea outside. Oh no, she muttered before she jumped out of bed and dashed to the door. She swung it open and ran down the corridor until she reached the door at the end. She swung it open and stepped out only to step onto the main deck of the large ship. You have got to be kidding me. Such was the life of a famous actress. I see she's as cheerful as ever, Yujito said sarcastically as she looked over at the actress getting fixed up for the recording session. It's not so bad, Naruto said with a sigh. We could have a bloodthirsty maniac with a giant sword after us again, no offense, Haku. None taken, Haku waved it away as she tapped the Kubikiri Hocho. Let's hope we don't run into one this time around, Yujito shrugged. Land of snow, iceberg/ocean. An iceberg? I know this is the land of snow and all, but what's with a single iceberg in the middle of nowhere right in our path? Naruto asked, confused. It is strange, Haku commented. That's because it was formed from chakra, Yujito whispered to them. The iceberg was made by someone who can control ice, she added. Ice? Haku? Naruto asked as he turned to the girl. She shook her head in response. Don't look at me. Well, if it wasn't you, then who was it? I doubt there are any other Hayatan bloodline wielders out there, Naruto countered. Yuki nins are famous for their usage of Hayatan jutsu, Yujito cut in. Anyone with wind and water affinities are capable of using Hayatan jutsu, but only those with it engraved into their bloodline can do it without training. So that means Naruto trailed off. Someone's out there, Haku nodded in conclusion. I can sense them, there's 3 of them on the iceberg, what do we do? Yujito asked. Do we run, or she trailed off? A fight? Are you serious? Naruto asked as a grin started to spread across his face. A sudden explosion on the iceberg caught their attention. I don't think that was part of the movie. Let's go, Yujito said as the 3 jumped in front of the actors and Yuki. Come out. We know you're there, Naruto shouted, and though the camera crew seemed confused, a man dressed in strange armor appeared on top of the nearby cliff. Welcome, friends, to the land of snow, the man said with a sneer. The other 2 are to the left and right, Yujito spoke up as another 2 Yuki nins appeared from the snow in the direction she said. Greetings, Princess Koyuki. I do hope you're still carrying the hex crystal, the pink-haired kunoichi said with a smirk. Princess Koyuki, Yujito thought as she cast a look back at Yuki. It looks like you're as good as they say, Yujito-san, the man on the right said. I knew this was going to be a long mission, Naruto thought as he clenched his fists at his side. And it started off as such a nice escort mission. Land of snow, iceberg/ocean. Fubuki, Mizore, I'll leave the princess to you, Nadar said before he jumped down from the cliff. He's mine, Naruto said as he dashed forward and formed a hand seal. Tajikage Bunshin no Jutsu. Instantly 30 clones appeared at his side and charged at the descending Yuki nin. That's a lot of clones for a kid to make, Nadar thought as he cut into them and weaved through the gaps in their attacks. Solid clones? He has skill, but he is still a child, he added as he destroyed the last of the clones. Get ready to have a taste of my hook, Naruto said as he spread out a large scroll in front of him. He bit his thumb and pushed blood on the scroll, Fuin, Kai. 7 short swords appeared in a poof of smoke a moment later, and he caught them all with different parts of his body. Let's see you dodge this. What are you doing, kid? Nadar asked, amused. This, Naruto shouted as he jumped at the Yuki nin. His movements are impossible to read, Nadar narrowed his eyes at the thought. Hey, isn't that Haku trailed off? Yeah, that's Karabi-sensei's Kenjutsu style, Yujito agreed as Fubuki and Mizore shot forward. Get out of the way, little girls, Mizore shouted as he cocked his gauntlet arm back. I'll deal with him, Haku said as she jumped over the incoming Yuki nin and formed a hand seal. Makio Hyosho. A few seconds later the snow around Mizore formed into ice mirrors. Fubuki came in from the side and sent a swarm of ice swallows at Nibi Jinchuriki. Hayatan, Tsubame Fubuki! She called out as Yujito jumped to the side and evaded the barrage. I can't afford to play around here, Yujito thought as her hands quickly formed several hand seals. A second later she exhaled a large fireball at the rebounding swarm of swallows, thus destroying them. Katan, Gakaki no Jutsu. As soon as the swarm was melted she turned and hurled a ball of lightning at the Yuki Kunoichi, Raikyu. Bitch, Fubuki grunted before she jumped away to dodge the blast. She touched the ground and ice exploded up, trying to catch Yujito in its grip, Hayaro no Jutsu. Damn it, she got me, Yujito thought as her body became encased in ice. Not so tough now, are you? Fubuki taunted with a smirk. Jinchuriki no Jutsu. Dark blue chakra exploded from Yujito's form and shattered the ice around her. She dropped to the ground as it took the shape of a fire cat with a single tail. I refuse to die that easily. What is she? Fubuki thought in fear as her opponent disappeared in a burst of speed. Nikomata Enden! Yujito roared as she sent a large blast of flames from her mouth. Damn it, Fubuki grunted as the blast slammed into her chakra barrier that her armor produced. Suddenly Yujito appeared behind her with her arm glowing white. Oh no. Kaizuki! Yujito exclaimed as her jutsu struck the barrier with a deafening bang. Fubuki backed off as the generator on her shoulder shattered from the jutsus. Damn, she almost had me there. Another inch and I would be dead, that was too close. Suddenly Yujito charged again and slammed her other arm into Fubuki's chest, shattering the ribcage and blowing out her back. What? Lariat! Yujito called out as Fubuki was blown back and crashed down at the bottom of the nearby cliff. Snow piled on top of her a moment later from the impact. Never underestimate the strength of Kumo. On the other side of the battlefield, the ice mirrors Haku created before shattered as Haku came hurling out of it. The ice melted a moment later to reveal Mizore with metal hand outstretched. Mizore chuckled in glee as he shot forward and brought his hand down on the ice girl, whom was just barely able to bring the Kubikiri Hocho up in time to deflect the blow. Even so, she was sent flying back before she crashed down into the side of the cliff edge as Mizore touched down on the ground in front of her. You're about to die, little girl, Mizore sneered as he closed in on her. I'm sorry, Naruto, Yujito-chan, I've failed you and Zabuza-sama. Please forgive me. Haku closed her eyes and braced herself for the pain to come. You give up too easily, mortal. Since when do I hear voices in my head? Haku thought in surprise. You're a funny one, I see, with a heart of both ice and water. I can deal with that now. Repeat after me if you want to win and live to fight another day. Haku snapped her eyes open as they now glowed pure white like snow, and the Kubikiri Hocho in her hand started to glow blue. What? Mizore took a step back in surprise when chakra exploded from the sword and started to wrap around the ice girl. Everyone on the battlefield stopped and turned towards it in surprise, especially the Kumo Nins, who recognized what was happening. Don't tell me she's another knight, Yujito thought in shock. That's Naruto trailed off as he saw Haku raise the Kubikiri Hocho up to the sky. There's no mistaking it, that's another of the night swords created by the Rakuto Sennin. Frozen Princess of the Ancient Moon, I ask you to grant me power. The power of eternity, the power of transcendence, and the power of the immortals. I call upon you, Eternal! Ascendo! Haku exclaimed as she was encased in a blinding white light. Feathery white wings extended outwards as the new knight stood from its crouched position and raised its head to look over the battlefield. It was a plated blue with white runes covering its arms, neck, arms, and shoulders. In the center of its chest was a beautiful blue crystal that glowed for a few seconds before dimming. What is this? Mizore shouted as a Zanbato appeared in the new knight's hands. Hayatan, Tsukishiro, Haku whispered as a circle of ice rose up from the ground around Mizore. What? He was frozen instantly. The ice princess turned away and clicked her metal fingers. Shatter, she whispered, and the ice shattered in a shower of particles. Whoa, was all Yujito could say as Haku hefted the Zanbato onto her armored shoulder. Damn you three! Nadar shouted in anger as he jumped away. He landed on one of the nearby cliffs and formed a hand seal. Hayatan, Rogan Nadar no Jutsu! He shouted as dozens of ice wolves formed and barreled down the side of the iceberg. Jinchuriki no Jutsu! Naruto exclaimed as red chakra exploded from his body and encased him. He disappeared in a burst of speed, avoiding the ice wolves, and appeared above his opponent once again. This kid, Nadar thought as he tried to evade the blonde boy's almost unreadable kenjutsu. He jumped away and formed another set of hand seal. Hayatan, Haryamoko! He shouted as a large ice dragon formed and descended towards the blonde. The dragon slammed down on where Naruto was standing, sending him crashing down the side of the iceberg until he rolled to a stop beside his teammates. Haku returned to human form a second later and landed near the Nibi Jinchuriki with a thud. Naruto! Yujito shouted in worry as the boy slowly stood back up and staggered slightly. I'm fine, he shouted back. I'll handle this guy. You two get everyone back onto the ship now. But Yujito started only to feel a hand on her shoulder. He's telling us kindly that we're in the way, or don't you remember what happened in Wave? Haku spoke from her side. Damn it, Yujito gritted her teeth as she turned and dashed towards where Yukikoki was standing. She and Haku quickly grabbed the actress and her manager before running towards the filmed ship they were using. That show-off, she muttered as she cast a look back at the snow-covered battlefield. Get ready to die, boy, Nadar sneered. You're the one who will fall today, Naruto declared and unsheathed the Ryujin as it glowed red. Holy Knight Champion of the Ancients, I ask you to grant me power. The power to protect, the power to defend, and the power to safeguard the innocent. I call upon you, Duke. Ascendo! Light exploded from the dragon blade and blinded Nadar, and everyone watching from view. When the light died down, Naruto stood in his knight form, towering at roughly 20 feet tall and wielding a large ryujin in his right hand and a blue shield in the other. What is this? What are you? Nadar shouted as he took a step away from the White Knight. I don't really know anymore, Naruto answered honestly. He held his sword out at the side and then brought it down on where Nadar was standing. Raiton, Dorigen raging! He called out as the speed of his attacks increased. He sent a barrage of attacks at the Yuki Nin and forced Nadar to jump higher onto the iceberg. Just die! Hayatan, Ikaku Hakudiai! Nadar exclaimed as an enormous ice whale exploded from the water nearby and descended on the knight. Naruto quickly turned and swung the ryujin to strike at the attacking elemental animal. Raiton, Fainerajajimento! Naruto called out as he released the lightning chakra from his sword. The world exploded in light as the ice whale exploded and Naruto jumped off of the iceberg a few seconds later. He landed on the water a few hundred feet away beside the filmed ship as Nadar caught sight of him. Channeling chakra to my feet to stay on top of the water is draining me faster while I'm in this form. I have to end this now, Naruto thought as he raised his shield in front of him. Watching from the ship, Yujito blinked when she saw the large blue shield begin to glow. Isn't that Naruto's? Yes it is, Haku confirmed as the film crew kept recording. Raiton, Fainerariushin! A white blast of pure lightning lanced out of the shield and shot towards the iceberg. What? Nadar's eyes widened in fear as the blast struck the cliff directly above him, and light consumed him. Oblivion took him in its cold embrace as the entire iceberg disappeared in one massive explosion. Did we get all that? Asked the director. Yeah, I think we got it all, said his assistant nervously. The knight disappeared a moment later as Naruto reverted back to normal and collapsed atop the water. Yujito and Haku quickly caught him and carried him back onto the deck of the ship. You reckless idiot, Yujito said as she shook her head. Sorry if I worried you, Naruto said weakly, clearly exhausted as they set him down on against one of the nearby crates. That was a jonin, Haku stated clearly. These knights, they're a dangerous thing to wield. Yeah, but that's what makes me worry so much. If I can defeat a jonin like that with my knight, and you can beat a chunin in one move, then what can Yami do with his? Naruto asked the question. Neither of the girls had an answer. Land of Snow, filmed ship/ocean. Okay, start from the beginning before I get mad, Naruto said, trying to suppress his rising anger at the man in front of him. Sandaya bowed his head, took a deep breath and began. Fujike's Yuki is only an alias I created. Her real name is Princess Kazuhana Koiki. She's next in line for the Land of Snow's throne, he stated. I served the princess's father, the former daimyo of the Land of Snow, Sosetsu-sama. Then 10 years ago Sosetsu-sama's younger brother Doto hired a group of Yuki Nins and started a coup d'etat. The Kazuhana palace was burned to the ground and Sosetsu-sama was killed by them. I thought the same fate befell the princess, but she was saved by a man from Konoha called Hatake Kakashi, Sandeo explained. Hatake Kakashi? Yujito asked, surprised. You know him? Naruto asked curiously. I know of him, Yujito clarified. He's a living legend in the shinobi world. His father was Hatake Sakumo, and he was recognized as a genius at a very young age. He became a jonin at the age of 13 and was a student of the Yondaime Hokage. This guy was a student of my dad. Damn, Naruto blinked in surprise. Yeah, I know. He's also said to be a candidate for Godaime Hokage, Yujito added. Sandaya remained quiet until they turned their attention back to him. The day I discovered Koiki-sama was alive, I was practically beside myself with joy. She was alive after all those years. We all thought she had perished with her father. I should have died that day, a voice rang out from the door. There, leaning against the archway, was Kazuhana Koiki. I am alive, but whatever tears I had left all dried up that day. Sandaya wiped the tears from his eyes. And that's how I came to be the manager of Fujike's Yuki. I have bided my time, waiting for the opportunity to return the princess to the Land of Snow. So you've just been using us all this time? Asked the assistant to his side. I'm terribly sorry for deceiving you all, but it was for the Land of Snow's people, Sandaya said as he stood and moved in front of the Snow Princess. He dropped to his hands and knees, pleading with her, Please, princess. I beg of you, confront Doto and assume your place as the leader of our home. Koiki stared at him impassively. You've got to be kidding me. But what about the Land of Snow's people? Asked Sandaya fearfully. I could care less about them, Koiki huffed and looked away with a look of disgust on her face. But princess, Sandaya began. Will you give it up already? Don't be stupid. It doesn't matter what you do, you can never get rid of Doto, the princess said with a glare. Can I just say one thing? Naruto asked, surprisingly calm. I don't want to hear it, Cookie shot back. You should give up. Naruto appeared behind her in a burst of speed. Trying to make me give up, he said from behind her, as she quickly turned. Naruto-san, Sanday whispered. We've already beaten Doto's best in our last fight. I say we take the fight to him, and kick him right off his throne, Naruto declared. You really are a complete idiot, aren't you? Yujito asked with a smile. You're getting more reckless by the day. Sounds like fun. This time we can back it up though, Naruto said after a moment and turned to Haku. You have a knight but Zabuza didn't, and you both wield the same sword, so I have to ask, how are you able to wield a knight? I'm not sure I understand it myself, but I think it must have reacted to my bloodline limit, Haku admitted. So long as there is hope, one may dream, and from those dreams the future is created. I like it, it's the perfect theme for our new movie, the director spoke up. The movie is evolving. Just think about it, how often do you get to make a movie with a real princess? We're looking at the chance of a lifetime here. I want to make this movie a reality. You can count on us to protect you, Haku said with a slight bow. Would you stop fooling around? There is no such thing as a happy ending in this world, Koiki said in anger, and was that fear in her eyes? If that were true I would have died months ago, Naruto said with a sad smile. It brightened a moment later. Now let's go take back your country. Land of Snow, Snow Fortress. That's a lot of guards, Naruto whispered as they gazed down at the fortress in the canyon below. Judging by their chakra I'd say they're all genin level except for one, Yujito responded. Doto, Haku mused. It would seem so, Yujito agreed. Okay, let's get this over with, Naruto said as he backed away from the cliff edge. This is insane, attacking Doto's stronghold like this, Koiki spoke up from the side. This isn't the first time we've done something like this, princess, Naruto told her. He's right, this is just like what happened in the Land of Wave, Yujito agreed. There's a difference between Gato and Doto though, Haku spoke up. We don't know what kind of things Doto has up his sleeves, so this might not be as easy as it was in Wave. All the more reason to strike sooner rather than later, Naruto concluded. Have you got a plan? Yujito asked as her eyes flashed purple for an instant. Something worthy of a practical joke, Naruto trailed off before he told them the plan. I can't believe we're doing this, Yujito grumbled as she readjusted her purple dress. It's not so bad, Yujito-san, Haku said from the side, walking perfectly in her own white dress. I don't mind the dress, it's what we're using it for in her plan, Yujito said as she turned to the other female teammate. Don't look at me, you agreed to it, and you said you wouldn't hit me, Naruko said from the side as she tried to walk straight in her red dress. Damn his Oiroku no Jutsu, Yujito bit back a growl from escaping her throat as they neared the main gates of the fortress. Well, hello ladies, what can we do for you? Asked the lead guard, clearly a mercenary. Daimyo-sama has requested us for today, Haku answered with a rather forced smile. Doto? Why don't you come with me and get to know a real man, offered the merc as he held out his hand with a grin. We were requested for him specifically, Haku countered quickly. Let them through, Fumaru, said the other guard. You don't want to upset the boss by breaking them in before he does, do you? I guess you're right, shame though, Fumaru shrugged and waved the three girls through. I'll take you to him, he said as he led them inside the fortress. Nicely done, Haku, thought the two blondes as they walked through a long corridor towards the throne room. Excuse me, Haku said, seemingly nervous, causing the guard to stop. Fumaru turned and asked, is there something wrong? I'm sorry about this, Haku responded with a smile. Sorry about Fumaru started only to fall to the floor with 3 samban in his neck. Alright, we're in, Naruko said as she made a hand seal. Kai, instantly her body changed back to its original form of Naruto. That perverted jutsu of yours is disgusting, Yujito growled out. But effective, Naruto countered. Besides, we got past them, didn't we? Yujito huffed and started down the hallway towards the throne room. They kept to the shadows. They made their way through the large fortress towards their destination. Just before they entered the chamber, the group stopped, and Naruto pulled out a scroll. I hope your plan works, Naruto, Yujito muttered as the blonde boy laid the scroll on the ground and unraveled it. It'll work as long as the seal I placed on Koiki reacts to my chakra properly, Naruto said as he formed several hand seals. Where did you learn how to do these seals? Neither Zabuza-sama nor Karabi-sama have ever mentioned anything like these seals before, Haku inquired curiously. The dragons are surprisingly good at fuinjutsu, and they've been teaching me how to do them. The toads actually do something similar with the seal I'm using now, but they can only do it with those who sign their contract. The dragons don't have that limitation, Naruto explained as he settled on his final hand seal. As long as I've placed the seal on a person, I can summon them Gyakukuchios no Jutsu. He slapped his hand down on the scroll and smoke exploded from it. When it cleared, Koiki appeared and looked around confused. What was that? She said slowly as her mind began to clear. You wanted to get inside the palace undetected, right? Naruto asked as if it were obvious. Can you do this at any time, Naruto? Yujito asked him as she looked down at the scroll. As long as I've placed the seal on the person I'm summoning, then yes, I can. The only bad thing is that it only works once. As soon as it's used, then the seal fades and I have to reapply it, Naruto explained. Have you ever thought about summoning yourself like you can other people? Yujito asked after a moment. No, why? Naruto blinked in confusion. Because what you just did sounds an awful lot like the Yondaime Hokage's Hiraishin no Jutsu, Yujito replied, making everyone freeze. She's right, Haku spoke up. That jutsu you just used, it sounds like a primitive version of the Hiraishin no Jutsu that IWA fears so much. You know, I read in the Forbidden Scroll about that jutsu. I can't believe I missed how similar they are. Naruto blinked and looked down at the scroll that was now in his hands again. Let's talk about this later. Haku shook herself and looked down the corridor towards the throne room. Right, we still need to deal with Doto, Yujito nodded in agreement. You're all fools, Koiki shook her head with a smile. You're hopelessly outnumbered and you still want to continue. Damn right we do, Naruto nodded with a smile. Now let's go and take back your country. They ran through the opening and into the large throne room which lay beyond. At the end of the chamber was a set of stairs with a lone chair at the top with a cloaked man sitting in it. It's been a long time, Koiki, Doto said with a chuckle. 10 years, you've grown quite beautiful, and judging by that sparkle hanging from your neck, it looks like you still have the hex crystal too. And you won't get your hands on it, Koiki declared as she clutched the purple jewel. How wrong you are, Doto shook his head and then clicked his fingers. Instantly 30 Yuki Nins appeared in the room. As you can see, you are surrounded. That crystal is the key to unlocking the Kazuhana treasure. Hand it over to me now. Naruto spoke up before Koiki could respond. Hey bastard. Has anyone ever told you that you talk way too much? A second later the ceiling exploded, sending debris crashing down into the room and forcing the Yuki Nins to scatter. High above was an airship, which Doto immediately recognized as one of his own and couldn't help but become consumed by anger at having his own equipment used against him. Hear me, Doto. We've waited a long time for this day of reckoning to come. Asama Sendai and 50 loyal warriors stand before you to avenge our beloved ruler Sosetsu-sama. You will die here, Doto. Sendai shouted from the airship as they dropped several more explosive barrels on the fortress. You, Doto growled at the sight. You weren't expecting us to capture the airship that belonged to the snow team we faced on the iceberg, were you? That should keep the Yuki Nins off of us for a while. Naruto grinned as he ran along the side wall and jumped at the snow daimyo. Come here! The blonde boy shouted as he drew the Ryujin from its sheath. Doto cast off his cloak and extended his wings as he turned. Naruto struck down and connected with some kind of barrier similar to those used by the Yuki Nins. He quickly realized that Doto was wearing chakra armor, and it seemed to be a newer, clearly more powerful class of armor as well. You are such a pest, Doto sneered and backhanded Naruto away, sending him crashing into the nearby pillar as Yujito appeared from above. Katon, Gakakyu no Jutsu! She exclaimed as she exhaled a large fireball down on the snow daimyo. It dissipated as soon as it hit the barrier. Damn it! We can't even touch him like this! She shouted in frustration. It's his armor! Haku shouted back as she threw a volley of saban at the snow daimyo. Ninjutsu are useless against it, and this armor is too thick for my saban to pierce. Damn it! Yujito gritted her teeth in frustration as she landed on a chunk of stone. Alright then, let's see how this armor of his holds up against my new jutsu, she said with a smirk. She quickly formed a set of hand seals and her right arm was suddenly encased in golden flames. Kaizuki. She shot forward and shouted, Here I come. Haku, get ready to finish him off. Not so fast. Hayatan, Kakuria Bofusetsu. Doto called out as he threw out a punch at her, and a large black mist-like dragon exploded out towards the approaching blonde Kunoichi. That won't stop me. Yujito shouted back as she threw out her fire blade and cut through the mist-like ice dragon. She descended upon the snow daimyo a moment later and struck down, slamming hard into the chakra barrier. Come on, she muttered as she pushed down, hoping to break through the barrier. Insolent little girl. You dare to oppose me? Doto shouted in anger and swung his arm round, catching her in the midsection and sending her crashing down at the bottom of the stairs. Haku suddenly appeared behind him and swung with the Kubikiri Hocho. Doto narrowly avoided the attack and kicked her away. Don't toy with me. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu. A voice exclaimed, and suddenly the room was filled with 300 Naruto shadow clones. You think this scares me? Think again. Hayatan, Soryu Bofusetsu. Doto gave out a war cry as he unleashed 2 black ice dragons at the clones. The 2 formed a tornado which began to tear the clones and the fortress apart. Outside, the airship was having trouble maintaining its position. Keep us steady! Sandeya shouted the order to the crew of the airship as the storm raged. And then suddenly the tornado stopped back down in the fortress. A shadow clone had grabbed hold of Doto from behind, making sure to keep his arms secure and effectively cutting of the Hayatan Jutsu. Get off of me! Doto shouted in anger as he tried to break free. I got 2 words for you. Bunshin Daibakuha. The clone shouted before exploding in a furious blaze of destruction which shook the entire fortress. Silence. It's over, Koyuki sighed in relief. Land of Snow, Rainbow Glacier. Are you sure this is the right place? Naruto asked as the airship descended onto the snow-covered ground at the edge of the glacier. It had been 3 days since the battle and the Yuki forces had all surrendered after the Doto fell. Team B had taken 2 days to recuperate from their injuries while they remained on guard in case any of Doto's former associates sought vengeance against Koyuki. Speak of the Snow Princess. Yeah, this is the place, Sandeya confirmed. The vault of the Kazuhana clan should be in the center. He then pointed towards the altar at the center of the glacier. And the hex crystal is the key, Koyuki whispered as she started towards the altar. Are we clear, Yujito? Naruto asked his blonde teammate. I don't sense anything within 100 kilometers, Yujito confirmed. Good, Naruto grunted out as they approached the altar. Koyuki stood before it and inserted the crystal into the slot in its center. A moment later, the area around them suddenly changed from ice and water to grass and streams. It's so warm, what is this? Koyuki asked, confused. It's a heat generator, Sandeya blinked in astonishment. Believe in the future. If you do, then the spring will surely come. The image of a younger Koyuki appeared in the middle of the glacier, though everyone could tell it was a recording. What will you do when it comes, Koyuki? A male voice asked. I'm going to become a princess, the recorded Koyuki said with a childish smile. Oh, and what sort of princess? The male voice asked. Well, let's see, one who's strong and kind and fights for justice, the young girl said cheerfully. Ha ha ha, that's some dream, the male voice sounded happy. Did I really say those things? The real Koyuki asked as she stared at the recording. A man much taller than the young Koyuki appeared with a smile as he stepped out beside the girl. He was dressed in green robes and was wearing glasses with a proud smile. Well, so long as you believe in your dream and never give up, one day you'll be that fine princess, the recorded Sosetsu told her with a smile. He placed what looked like the hex crystal around the little girl's neck and looked onward. Can you see her? There's a beautiful princess standing right in front of you now, he said with a smile. By now the real Koyuki had tears trailing down her face as she looked up at her father's face. I have a problem though. There's something else I want to be, the younger Koyuki said over her shoulder. Sosetsu looked curiously at her. Really? What's that? An actress, she replied with her childish smile. Sosetsu chuckled at that, clearly believed she could do it. The real Koyuki started laughing lightly. Eventually the image dissipated, however, and the recording became nothing but memory. Sandeya watched on and smiled as he shook his head. After a few more seconds the image faded and silence fell on the glacier. Father, Koyuki whispered sadly. Land of Spring, Kazuhana Palace/airship. The inauguration ceremony went off without a hitch, and Koyuki had already set into place several laws that would start the repairs on the damage done by Doto and his forces. A week after the battle, Team B prepared to set off towards home in a very different way compared to how they arrived. We can really have it? Naruto blinked as he looked up at the massive airship that Doto and his forces had used. I don't see why not, Sandeya shrugged. After everything you've done for us, it is the least we can do. I'm sure Koyuki feels the same way. But still, we can't even fly this thing right, Yujito countered as she gestured to the airship. Actually, I've been learning how to use the controls for a while now, Haku spoke up. Can you fly it? Naruto asked her. Haku nodded. For the most part, just don't ask me to do any loops or anything. What about the generator? Yujito asked. That generator isn't fully developed, Koyuki replied as she approached the group. So it'll be back to winter soon, huh? Naruto sighed. Not really. If we take what we know and continue working on it, then we might be able to make it permanent without having to turn it on again. The land of spring has been born thanks to your actions, Koike said with a smile. Yeah, but it's kind of a shame, really. I mean, you're a big star and you're going to have to retire, right? Yujito asked with a sad smile. Who said I was retiring? Koike asked with a smile. Ruling over the land of spring and acting, I think I can handle them both. I mean, I'd have to be out of my mind to give it up now. She started away from them. I hope you all visit sometime when things are less hectic. She disappeared into the palace again. Story of my life, Naruto said with a sigh. Well, we'd better be off, Yujito said as she climbed into the airship with Haku. Hey, Naruto here, Sandia said as he handed the boy an envelope. What's this? Naruto asked him. Something for you and your team, Sandia answered with a smile. Now go on, and I hope to see you three visit us sometime. We'll do that, Naruto nodded as he jumped onto the airship and opened the envelope. It was an autograph with a picture of his team and Koike standing in front of the altar at the Rainbow Glacier after it was melted. As he entered the command section, he saw Haku sitting at the controls and heard the sound of the airship's engine coming to life. This thing is amazing, Yujito said from the side. Imagine what Kyuubi could do if they had this kind of technology. We'd have aerial superiority everywhere. We'd also be able to bomb any village, and they would be hard-pressed to counterattack, Haku added. Yeah, but it'll be a while before Kyuubi has anything like this ready for combat. For now, let's just get this thing back to Kyuubi and report to Reikage-sama, Yujito sighed as she sat down in one of the chairs. She then looked over at the quiet blonde. Is something wrong, Naruto? It's nothing, Naruto shook his head and turned away. As he exited the room, he stopped and almost fell against the wall, this feeling its dash. What do you want from me? Land of Lightning, Kyuubi no Sato / Reikage Tower. I see you've been busy, he spoke as he looked out at the airship that had landed on one of the platforms near the tower. It's all in the report, Reikage-sama, Yujito stated as she placed several sheets of paper down on the desk. Hehe, I assume everything went well then? The Reikage asked. It was great, Naruto nodded in confirmation. Good, because I'm promoting you three to Chunin, he responded. Surprisingly, the group. Hey, are you sure, Reikage-sama? Yujito stammered out in surprise. That was another reason for giving you that level of mission, he explained. I wanted to see if you had what it takes to do the right thing, even though it's not easy. I'm glad to say you passed, so congratulations on becoming Chunin. So the last mission was a test? Haku asked. Yes, it was, he clarified. What kind of a Kage would hand out an A-rank mission to Genin? They'd have to be out of their minds to even think of the idea. I mean, I've given you all A-rank missions because I can count on you. The mission to the land of Wave, Yujito trailed off. I trusted my brother to look after you, he explained. And this last mission to the land of snow, sorry, I meant land of spring. I sent you on that mission because I wanted to give you a chance at becoming Chunin through a field promotion. Field promotion? Naruto asked. If the Chunin exams were the only way to become a Chunin, then the villages would be made up of almost nothing but genin. The Chunin exams are meant to maintain good relations with other countries, however they also paint a large bullseye on the genin who pass it. A field promotion keeps Chunin out of other villages' sight, he concluded. How are the Chunin exams going anyway? Yujito inquired. From what I hear, they're getting ready for the third stage of the exams, the Reikage replied. He leaned back and shook his head. However, none of our genin made it to the third round, so I will not be attending it. Knock knock. He flicked the intercom and asked, What is it? Reikage-sama, there's a man from Konoha here to see you. He says it's important, his aide spoke through the system. Konoha, Naruto thought, and stopped his fists from clenching. Send him in, he gave the order, and the door opened. A single figure stepped through, one that was immediately recognized. That's Yujito stiffened at seeing the man. What can I do for you, Jiraiya of the Sannin? He asked with a neutral face. I'm not really here to speak with you, Reikage-sama, I've come to talk to him, Jiraiya answered and turned his gaze on the blonde boy. Uzumaki, Naruto, right? Damn, who would have thought things would turn out like this, huh? Who are you? Naruto bit back the growl that threatened to explode from his throat. Good question. I am the Gama Sennin no Mayabo-cousin. Pleased to meet you, Naruto, Jiraiya answered and waved slightly. How do you know who I am? The Kyuubi Jinchuriki questioned. I trained the Yondaime Hokage, Jiraiya replied. You trained? Why are you here? Naruto asked in distrust. I'm here to teach you something the Yondaime Hokage wanted you to know, the Gama-senin answered. If you really trained, where were you before now? Where were you when I was being hunted down by own sensei? Where were you when my own sensei tried to kill me? Naruto growled out as red chakra started to flicker across his body. Where were you when my father sealed in the Kyuubi in me? That last question stopped Jiraiya in his tracks. You know, the Gama-senin whispered in surprise. Yeah, I know, no thanks to Konoha, Naruto shot back. You didn't answer my questions, where were you? Jiraiya took a breath before he continued. I was keeping track of your enemies. Everyone in the room narrowed their eyes at his answer. Enemies? Naruto questioned. A group of 9 S-rank Nukenin called the Akatsuki, thereafter the Biju including the Kyuubi, Jiraiya continued. Among their members are Orochimaru of the Sannin and Akasuna no Sasori. His eyes flashed at the names. Orochimaru is a part of this. But he appears to have left the organization, Jiraiya confirmed. Who's Orochimaru? Naruto asked, feeling out of the loop. Orochimaru is one of the Sannin and a student of the Sandaime Hokage like myself. He was also a candidate for Yondaime Hokage and betrayed Konoha after your father became the Yondaime instead of him. I've lost track of him since he left the Akatsuki, Jiraiya explained. So you'll train me to better fight them? Naruto asked. If you'll let me? Jiraiya offered. Naruto looked at and then to Kurabi. The two brothers nodded and Naruto turned back to the Gama-senin. Alright, Naruto agreed with a sigh. What are you going to teach me? A jutsu that Minato wanted you to know, the Rasengan. Land of Fire, Konohagakure no Sato/Chunin Exam Stadium. This was it. This was his chance to prove that he was one step closer to killing his brother, his enemy, and fulfilling his revenge. Uchiha Sasuke charged down the side of the stadium wall with his left hand encased in pure lightning chakra. He didn't care about the world around him, it was just him and his opponent. He closed in on his target. The Suna-genin he was fighting had encased himself in a ball of sand and was all but impenetrable to anything he could throw at it. Well, almost anything. Chidori! Sasuke exclaimed as he moved within striking distance, and the crowd held their breath. Only for a figure to drop down from the sky and slam his lightning-covered hand down on the ground to create a small crater. He looked up and sent a glare at the one who dared to interfere with his match, only for his eyes to widen at the sight he saw. Silence. Dobe? Sasuke asked, surprised. Hardly, Naruto snorted in response. Foolish little abomination, still playing the genius, I see? He sneered down at the Uchiha. Quicker than most could see, he brought his sword around and slashed down at the dark-haired boy. Genma came from the side and grabbed Sasuke, but not before the blade swiped across the Uchiha's arm, drawing blood. Genma backed away with Sasuke in hand and kept his gaze on Naruto. Please call me Yami, since I'm definitely not that fun-loving moron, Yami corrected and licked the blood off of his sword. Immediately 8 Anbu surrounded him. I see the Hokage wants his little weapon back. Come with us quietly, Uzumaki Naruto, and you will not be punished, spoke the lead Anbu. Yeah, it's not the best invitation, so no thanks, Yami quipped. Damn, I sounded way too much like Dad there for a second. He shook himself in amusement. Red chakra exploded from his body, surprising and terrifying everyone present as it ripped his skin apart, and took the shape of a human-sized chakra fox with 4 tails. Now who wants to go first? He roared and thrust out his hands, sending several large chakra arms at the Anbu. Up in the Kage booth, Orochimaru, disguised as the Kazekage, shouted out, "Begin operation!" 4 Anbu were dead within moments of Yami's attack and 2 more were injured while a large genjutsu descended on everyone in the stadium. Yami turned quickly as Hatake Kakashi appeared behind him and thrust out a lightning-covered fist at him. Raikiri! The Kopinin exclaimed as he drove the attack into the chest of the chakra fox. Yami roared when the jutsu died down, the Kyuubi's chakra is protecting him. Try something else. Yami roared and punched the ground, sending out a massive shockwave which leveled the stadium around them, and no doubt killing a lot of people. Damn it, where is Tenzo? Kakashi thought in worry as he saw chakra started to gather at Yami's mouth. Doton, Dorihiki no Jutsu! He exclaimed as a wall of solid rock shot up between the two. Yanbaiko Imari! Yami roared as the massive chakra sphere exploded towards the Konoha Jonin. It carved open the earth as it went, blowing right through the earth wall and forcing Kakashi to take cover in the ground. Sand suddenly exploded from behind the fox and revealed a massive sand tanuki glaring down at them all. Who are you? Gaara growled out from inside the monster. An ally for now, Yami replied. Why do you exist? Gaara sneered. Hehe, I exist to destroy, Yami chuckled darkly. I seek not but blood and carnage, nothing more and nothing less. Then stay out of my way, Gaara growled out and sent a wave of sand at everything that moved. Yami roared as bones materialized on his chakra shroud and 2 more tails formed to equal 6 tails swishing behind him. He let out a crazed laugh as he disappeared in a burst of speed and appeared above Kakashi. He's fast, Kakashi, as just before Mato Guy came in from the side and kicked Yami away. Did I get him? Guy asked. Not likely, Kakashi responded as he stood up straight once more. Sasuke-kun! Sakura shouted out, catching his attention. Kakashi turned to the sight of an unconscious Sasuke in the arms of the known spy, Yakushi Kabuto. Get away from my student! Kakashi shouted as he jumped at the Oto spy. Shunshin no Jutsu. A second later, Kabuto disappeared with Sasuke in a poof of smoke. No, Sasuke-kun! Sakura shouted in horror as her crush was taken away. Damn it, Kakashi gritted his teeth and turned to Neji. Can you track them? He asked. They're out of my range, Neji replied as he shook his head. Sasuke-kun, Sakura cried. Tajimari, 6 bolts of chakra exploded from the smoke near the stadium and closed in on the group. Doton, Dorihiki no Jutsu! Kakashi exclaimed as he created a large stone wall to protect them. The 6 small chakra spheres impacted the wall and exploded, shattering the wall as if it were glass and consuming their vision in fire. Kakashi's Sharingan spun wildly as Yami, who was now in human form again, stepped through the flames slowly and sent them a chilling glare with his back against the flames. This can't be the Dead Last! Kiba shouted indignantly. Dead Last? Oh please, Yami snorted at the name. I've always been this powerful, but Konoha has always held me back. Now you will see my true strength. He unsheathed the Onijin and shot forward. Sharingan, he whispered as his eyes suddenly changed into that of the Sharingan. How did he? Kakashi muttered before he was to engage the boy in taijutsu. He's using Kyuubi's chakra to augment his speed, and with the Sharingan he is predicting my moves. It's a good job I got Sasuke team's blood at the end of the match, or this would be a lot more difficult, Yami thought as he ducked under a punch only to meet a knee to the face. Got you, Kakashi said, only for Yami to disappearing in a poof of smoke. A shadow clone? Kakashi said, surprised. Yami suddenly appeared behind Neji and lunged at him. Neji turned quickly but was unable to deflect the blade as it grazed his shoulder and drew blood. Yami smirked and jumped away before Neji could counterattack. Hehe, too easy, Yami said and licked the blood off the Onijin. What did you do to me? Neji sneered at the blonde. I stole your bloodline like a good little thief, Yami answered with a smirk. Byakugan, he whispered and his eyes suddenly turned pure white. What? Neji growled out, having lost control of his emotions. Katon, Gakkaku no Jutsu! Kakashi exclaimed as he attacked from the side with a massive fireball. Katon! Yami called out as he spun, creating a spinning shield of chakra around him. That's the Tenten, whispered as the Jutsu shrugged off the fireball. Yami laughed as Kakashi landed in front of him. Do you understand now? This is what happens when you betray your own, he continued to laugh as Gaara could be seen destroying buildings across the village. You won't leave here alive, not after what you've done here today, Kakashi said to the blonde. What's your name, old man? Any normal Jonin would have died by now if they were to face someone like me, asked Yami as he planted the Onijin in the ground and smirked. Hakata Kakashi, not that you really need to know, the copy Nin answered as his Sharingan spun and Yami's smirk widened. I prefer to know the names of my enemies. Yami was grinning now as his sword started to glow purple. What's he doing? Guy asked. Dark Knight of the Fallen Kingdom, I humbly ask that you grant me power. The power of the forgotten, the power of destruction, and the power of reincarnation. I call upon you, Crusader. Ascendo. Purple light consumed their vision and died down a moment later to reveal a large black knight with raven-like wings. What did he just do? Chuji asked at the sight. Katon, Senpu Hozenka. Yami extended his wings and let loose a large blast of flames. Everyone get down! Kakashi shouted as everyone took cover in the rubble and the flames consumed the area. We're not fighting a ninja here, Asuma said with a wince. We're fighting a monster, and one that may be just as bad as the Kyuubi from 13 years ago. I suppose it's fitting considering who he is, Guy said as he steadied his breathing. That Gaara kid is leveling the village building by building. What do we do? Kurenai asked the question. Hokage-sama is currently battling Orochimaru, and the civilians have probably been relocated to the shelters. Right now our best option is to withdraw and prepare our counterattack, Kakashi quickly deduced. Hey, take a look, he's powering down, Chuji spoke up. Yami sighed as returned to human form. Well, I've had my fun, but it looks like the snake bastard has finished dealing with the old man. He looked up and watched as the barrier dropped as Orochimaru fled with his 4 bodyguards, though his arms looked like they had been injured. It's time I withdrew as well. He bit his thumb and formed several hand seals. Kuchios no Jutsu, a large hawk appeared a second later in a poof of smoke. You don't mess around, do you? Takamaru quipped as Yami jumped on and they took to the sky. Not all the time, Yami responded curtly as he looked back at the destroyed village and the demon rampaging through it. Where to now? The hawk asked. I think it's time we initiated the first part of the plan, Yami said as a sadistic smirk stretched across his face. Right, I can sense the target north of here. I believe it to be the Nanabai no Kabutomushi, Takamaru replied. Let's go then, Yami ordered as they flew off into the distance. What about the Kyuubi's yang chakra? Takamaru asked as they flew. Don't worry, I've captured my dad's corpse, Yami spoke as he pulled out a containment scroll. As soon as I have access to a key, then I can transfer it into my seal so I don't have to rely on these bastardies chakra cells from the temple. This day marked the end of Konoha no Sato with the combined Otosuna strike force and Gaara rampaging through the village. Land of Lightning, Kyuubi no Sato / Reikage Tower. Konoha no Sato has been completely destroyed, he declared to the room. What? Naruto asked in surprise. We just received word from our spies an hour ago, the Reikage explained. They say that Konoha was attacked at the end of the Chunin exams by a combined Suna and Oto invasion force. We're still trying to confirm the village's condition, however it looks like there was another force at play during the battle. Another force? Yujito inquired. From what we were able to piece together, Suna entered the Ichibi Jinchuriki into the exams as a genin who then reached the finals. He was matched up against the young genius Uchiha Sasuke and the invasion began as soon as he started to transform, he continued. A Jinchuriki fought Sasuke team? Naruto blinked. Do you know him? Haku asked. Not really, Naruto shrugged. He was the rookie of the year, and I was the dead last, so we didn't hang out that much. He was always a loner who everyone adored because of his family, though I thought he was an arrogant bastard. Yes, well, from what I am told, he was defeated and captured by Oto during the battle. That's not what worried me though, he sighed and leaned back in his chair. It's what happened at the end of the match itself. Apparently you showed up and stopped him from delivering a lethal blow to the Jinchuriki Naruto. Me? Naruto took a step back in surprise. But I wasn't anywhere near Konoha during the finals. I'd been here training with Erosenin and my team. I know that, but the reports clearly state that you entered the battle and defeated anyone that stood in your way. It even describes transformations into a 6-tailed chakra fox and a giant black warrior, he concluded. Black Haku started. Warrior? Yujito finished. Yami, Naruto growled out and clenched his fists at his side. It appears your shadow has turned out quite mellow, Kurabi spoke from the side. That's impossible. He shouldn't be able to use the Kyuubi's chakra if he doesn't have the fox in his gut. He wouldn't stand a chance against Konoha by himself, Naruto started. It looks like he was able to attain a large amount of the Kyuubi's chakra cells from a pseudo-Jinchuriki at the Fire Temple after single-handedly breaking through the temple's defenses, he explained. How strong has he gotten? Yujito asked worriedly. I don't know, but by your own accounts he can steal bloodlines, the Reikage said grimly. There is little doubt in my mind that he is growing in power, and it is only a matter of time before he attains his true goal, whatever it might be. So what do we do? Haku asked the question. Jiraiya has already left for the ruins of Konoha in hopes of gathering survivors, and I have already sent teams to render humanitarian aid. I also have another mission for you, he responded and handed them a sheet of paper with the details on it. Sabaku no Gaara, the Ichibi Jinchuriki, has gone rogue and is currently hunting the Sannin. We're not really sure why your orders are to locate and capture him if possible. If you are unable to capture him, then you are to eliminate him, understand? Understood, Reikage-sama, Haku bowed. With Konoha destroyed, we are now the strongest of the 4 main villages, he declared. This action has upset the entire continent, and soon war will break out for dominance. Do not let anyone gain control of the Ichibi. I'm going with them, Kurabi spoke up. What are we waiting for? Let's go already, Yujito waved as she headed for the door with Haku in tow. Naruto stopped as he exited the room and looked out at the setting sun in the distance. Yami. You're worried, Haku said to the blonde kunoichi that shared the room. They had stopped for the night in a nearby town and gotten 2 separate rooms for themselves, with Naruto taking the other one. What do you mean? Yujito asked, confused. You've been sneaking glances at Naruto all day, Haku continued. I can't really blame you, since from the look on his face I'd say he is having trouble coming to terms with the destruction of his former home. But it's not his home anymore, Yujito spoke up. Konoha has never done anything to even deserve to be called his home. He owes them nothing for what they've done. How so? Haku inquired. They didn't tell him about his father, they didn't tell him why he was hated, and they didn't even have the decency to at least properly train him. They wanted nothing to do with him, and as far as I'm concerned they got what they deserve. Have you seen him when he walks through the streets of Kyuubi? Everyone in Kyuubi loves him not only because of his strength but what he stands for. Yujito clenched her fists at her side as she kept going. And what about you? Haku questioned. What about me? Yujito snapped her head towards her teammate. I've seen the way you look at him, Yujito-chan, Haku replied knowingly. That look of longing in your eyes when you look at him can't be faked or hidden, especially from me. I don't know what you are talking about, Yujito denied and turned away. I think you do, Haku shot back. That look of longing, what is it about exactly? Do you long to get the same praise as him, or do you long just for him? What do you want, Yujito-chan? Drop it, Yujito snarled at her with slitted eyes. Fine, Haku sighed. But let me give you some advice right now. He is alright, but that won't last forever. Someday he will be lost, and just drift through life. When that day comes, I hope you are ready to do something about it, because I'm sure we will all regret it if you aren't. Why do you care so much? Yujito questioned. Because I'm in love with him, Haku whispered the answer as she turned away. As she is Naruto's, went out of his way to make her feel welcome here and after the wave mission, but what do I feel for him? Yujito thought as she cast a look at the door. Land of Fire, Tanzaku Town. I still think we should have taken the airship, Yujito whined as they entered the town. The eggheads are still working on the technology involved in it, Yujito-chan, Haku countered. What's wrong with this picture? Naruto asked as he looked around at the empty marketplace. Where is everyone? Haku asked, also confused. Yujito closed her eyes and concentrated. They're all in their homes, but I'm sensing large amounts of heavy chakra concentration coming from the north. Sounds like a battle, Haku nodded as Naruto jumped onto the roof of a nearby building and looked towards the north. Well, whoever it is looks to be going at pretty heavily, Naruto added as he saw the flashes on the horizon signifying the use of explosives. Let's go check it, and we'll interfere a bit, Kurabi said as he jumped forward with the rest of the team not too far behind. This wasn't turning out like he had planned at all, and that was something he didn't like happening. It had started with the fall of Konoha, which left Orochimaru's arms useless, but the village and the Hokage wiped out. Almost immediately upon returning to Otokage no Sato, Orochimaru had left his body and taken over Uchiha Sasuke in order to acquire the legendary Sharingan. This action, however, had one very notable flaw in it. He could only maintain this body for 3 years before it failed. That was the reason why he was out here now. It was to locate his old teammate, whom was and still remains to this day the best medic nin to have ever lived. His right-hand man Kabuto could only do so much compared to Senju Tsunade, granddaughter of the Shodai Hokage and the current Katsuyu Sennin. The deal was simple enough. She fixed his body so it could last a lifetime, and he would resurrect her lover and her brother, whom both died back in the Second Shinobi War. He had given her a week to answer, and that brings us to the current, irritating situation. The Ichibi Jinchuriki, Sabaku no Gaara, whom practically destroyed Konoha single-handedly, was now hunting for strong opponents to prove his existence, or so he said. The boy had the audacity to come after him and by proxy Tsunade in the hopes of killing them. Naturally, Orochimaru didn't like that, and knew that he could kill the boy with ease, but that would be useless if Tsunade and her annoying fear of blood gets her killed. Where would he be then? 3 years is not enough time to properly wield these magnificent eyes that the Uchiha prided, but he knew if Tsunade were to die, then that would be the end of the Sharingan altogether. The only other option would be to go to Danzo, but Root was still operating, so he couldn't risk any kind of contact at the moment, at least not until he gained more power. You will prove my existence, Gaara said, crazed as he summoned a massive waterfall of sand. Ryusa Bakuryu! He called out as the sand closed in. Stand back, Kabuto, Kimimaro, Orochimaru ordered with a smirk. He then jumped over the waterfall of sand and spun the kusanagi in hand. Die, you annoying child! He shouted as he swung down with the sword. Clang. Land of Fire, Plains. Silence is a grand thing, really. It's empty and hollow, yet anything can happen to break it. Like now, for example, where Orochimaru of the Sannin, self-proclaimed Otokage of Otokage no Sato, stood with the blade of Kusanagi in hand clashing against one of Yatsuki Kurabi's, the Hachibi Jinchuriki's many swords. The sight was unexpected, and it took all those involved a few moments to register what exactly happened. A second later, Orochimaru backed off and scowled. Yatsuki Kurabi. What's someone like you doing here? Just floating around, seeing as there are snakes like you abound, Kurabi countered, settled into his multiple sword kenjutsu stance. So I see you must be here for the Ichibi, Orochimaru quickly deduced. Kyuubi always did want more Biju to bolster their forces. Not that it matters, since I want that Biju to die with its Jinchuriki. That way Akatsuki can't complete their goal and I don't have to worry about their interference. I'll handle the Jinchuriki, Naruto said over his shoulder, as he kept his eyes locked with Gaara's. Are you sure, kiddo? He might be too much for you, Naruto, Kurabi asked the blonde boy. Just give me my shot and I'll do the rest, Naruto replied with a grin. The bone guy is mine, Yujito said clearly as she glared at the man in front of her with bones emanating from everywhere on his body. And that leaves the one with glasses for me, Haku concluded. Fine then, let's see how you handle this, Orochimaru sneered as he bit his thumb. He formed several hand seals and slammed his hand to the ground. Suddenly a large snake appeared in a poof of smoke, Kuchios no Jutsu. Orochimaru, you know better than to summon me. I demand 100 sacrifices for this, Manda sneered up at the Hibi Sennin. Orochimaru just smirked and narrowed his eyes at the Kyuubi nins. Naruto, Yujito said as she looked up at the large snake. I know, Naruto said back as he bit his thumb and formed a set of hand seals. Kuchios no Jutsu. Smoke exploded from his position as he slapped his hand on the ground. What? Orochimaru blinked in surprise. This isn't how things were supposed to happen. The Kyuubi brat is supposed to be a weak fool, he snarled in thought as a large dragon emerged from the smoke. Hello again, Hotori-sama, Naruto said with a smile. It's good to see you again, he greeted. I see you're having a few problems, huh, Naruto? Asked the dragon boss. Yeah, I am. Do you mind giving me a hand here? We could really do with the help, Naruto asked him. Alright, it's been a while since I last fought anyway. I just hope this will be enough to keep me entertained. Hattori chuckled and settled down on all fours. Naruto jumped off his head as he started to roar at the snake boss in front of him. Manda struck first, moving faster than most could see despite its immense size, and descended on the dragon. Hattori shifted slightly and swatted the giant snake away just before he grabbed its tail. Hattori roared again as he pulled on the tail and flung the snake into the air. Awesome, Naruto thought awestruck as Hattori flapped his wings and ascended into the air. Raitun, Kisui Taifu. Hattori roared as wind and lightning exploded from his wings into the shape of a directed tornado. Still as arrogant as ever, I see Hotori team, Manda shouted as the jutsu struck him dead center. Ryusa Bakuryu. Gaara called out as a massive wave of sand descended on the Kyuubi and Oto nins. Scatter! Yujito shouted and everyone jumped away. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto exclaimed as he touched back down on solid ground and created an army of clones. Take Gaara down now! He yelled the order to his clones. Not so fast, boy! Orochimaru shouted as he jumped at the blonde boy. Your opponent is me, the Hachibi. Kurabi quickly moved in between them and parried the sword strike at Naruto. Out of my way, you fool! Orochimaru snarled in anger as he quickly executed 3 consecutive strikes at the Kyuubi swordsman, each of which was parried. That's full-sama to you! Kurabi shouted back as he quickly unsheathed his 7 swords and attacked. Nearby, Yujito was throwing balls of lightning left, right and center in hopes of hitting her bone-wielding opponent. Raikyu! She exclaimed again as she hurled another one only for Kimimaro to evade once again. Teshi Sendan, Kimimaro said as he launched several sharp bones at the blonde girl. That's just gross, Yujito said in disgust as she dodged the volley. I care not for what you say, Kimimaro said before he lunged with bones stretching out of his skin. This isn't going to be easy, Yujito though grimly as he closed in and blue/purple chakra exploded from her body. Soon as Shigeru Gaara spoke as he brought his sand up beside him and launched it at Naruto's clones. The clones quickly dispelled under the assault of the hundreds of sand bullets that bombarded them. Naruto quickly released red chakra into his system and disappeared in a burst of speed. Gaara blinked in surprise as Naruto reappeared behind him and threw a punch faster than most could see. Sand gathered and the punch collided with it, but the sand evidently withstood it. Naruto backed off as another wave of sand tried to grab him before he disappeared in a burst of speed yet again as Gaara narrowed his eyes. His sand encases his entire body and it gathers wherever he is about to be attacked to defend him. He's not controlling it, Naruto thought as he attacked from the side, but again the sand appeared to defend against him. Well then, let's see how he likes this. Just as the thought crossed his mind, he accelerated and literally ran circles around Gaara at high speed to create a dust storm. After a few more seconds he struck, first kicking low, then punching high, a quick jab at the back, a kick from the side and a blow at the head. Gaara's sand wasn't able to keep up with the constant movement, thus the final punch struck Gaara in the jaw, sending him spinning across the field. "Got ya, you damned raccoon!" Naruto shouted with a laugh. You hit me," Gaara said lowly as he slowly stood. "Now what?" Naruto asked as he suddenly tensed. "No one has ever laid a hand on me in a long time," Gaara said as he looked up, a crazed smile on his face. Sand spiraled around him, wrapping around him and encasing him in a sphere of sand. "Oh, this cannot be good," Naruto muttered as he shot forward and threw a punch at the ball. Spikes of sand appeared from the ball, trying to impale him, but he quickly backed off after landing the punch on the completely solid and dense ball of sand. "I will prove my existence," he heard Gaara's twisted voice speak from the ball. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto made a cross seal and a clone instantly appeared at his side. The concentrated chakra into Naruto's hand as it quickly spun and took the shape of a ball. The clone disappeared a moment later as Naruto dashed forward and threw his arm out at the sphere. Rasengan! The chakra sphere slammed into the sand ball and drilled through its layers until it reached its target. The other side of the sand ball exploded outwards as both Naruto and Gaara were hurled away from each other. They quickly recovered as sand once again wrapped around Gaara, but this time taking the shape of a human-sized tanuki made of sand. This is my blood!" Gaara screamed in pain as he clutched his healing shoulder. "Suna Shuriken!" he exclaimed in anger as he hurled a volley of sand bullets at the blonde boy. Naruto brought his hands up and the sand shattered upon contact with the Kyuubi's chakra. "Why won't you just die? Futon, Mugen de Tapa!" Gaara continued as he sent a massive blast of wind at him. He's not letting up, Naruto thought as he was sent flying back and into the air. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu. Suddenly hundreds of clones appeared around him as he landed. "Suna Shuriken!" Gaara exclaimed as he tried to destroy the oncoming clone army. "Bunshin Daibakuha!" The clones called out as one and exploded all over the area where Gaara stood. "Did I get him?" Naruto asked in thought. A second later sand exploded upwards and took this shape of a massive sand tanuki. "I guess not." "Dai Sabaka Q!" Gaara roared as sand started to spin around Naruto. "Holy Knight Champion of the Ancients, I ask you to grant me power. The power to protect, the power to defend and the power to safeguard the innocent. I call upon you, Duke!" Naruto began. "Sabaka Soso!" The tanuki clenched his fist, and the sand contracted to crush the blonde boy. "Ascendo!" Naruto finished as he suddenly exploded in red light. The light died down a moment later to reveal the large white knight with its red sword and blue shield pulsing with energy. "What are you?" Gaara demanded. "A knight," Naruto responded as his blue cape swayed in the wind. From the side, Orochimaru